the high plains of the Midwest, I bid you good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whatever your time zone might be. My nod to the late and great Art Bell. I'm Keith Sharp.
And I'm G. Drussel.
And we welcome you to Life After Life, a paranormal webcast where we talk about the paranormal, UFOs, or the unexplained. And the biggest question of them all, what happens when we die? Stay tuned.
Hey, everybody. How is everybody? Did you guys have a good week? Did you miss us? Huh? Come on.
Keith.
You know you did, right?
Keith.
What?
The intro, baby. We killed the intro.
How did you guys like the elevator music? Dun, 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 dun. Because we're thinking about doing that every show, aren't we?
I think we should.
I think we should. Pick some elevator music that you like to
Well, a lot of people don't realize that you're like a musical, that's like your thing, really.
It is. It is. Maybe I should write a song. I wrote the theme music for our show.
In your sleep.
Wonder if I should. Yeah, I know. That was weird. I was just sitting in a chair and that song popped in my head and I came on the keyboard and started doing it.
And then sent it to me and I was like, brilliant.
Brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant.
Loved it.
Well, how's 2021 treating everybody so far? Any good? I mean, it's got to be better, right, than 2020.
Oh, yeah.
Besides the, we won't get into politics, but besides the storming of the Capitol.
Yeah. This is not a political platform.
That was a bad way to start. Yeah, it's not a political platform at all. But we hope everybody is having a great New Year's. So, Garrett, how have you been?
Good.
Good?
Well, I just wanted to say thank you for everybody that's been subscribing and watching the show, too.
Yeah, you guys are awesome. Every one of you. Awesome.
This is when we said it at the end of our last show, but there are findings, which we thought was kind of funny. Like,
let me just explain something. That was a joke. I put our findings like we're true detectives or something, which we're not. And I met with Garrett and I said, because Garrett said, put our findings. And I was like, are you kidding?
And what did I say?
You said you
put it in there.
Put it in there. And I thought, okay, but hopefully they'll get it. It's a joke.
Right.
Like like we were paid detectives.
Yeah.
Hey,
but what we've done over the course of 4 videos is we've tried to, create a platform, a discussion, and a way for us to kind of, learn the case, the ins and outs. And so we've heard all spectrums. And so essentially this is our findings, though. It's what you and I, from our perspectives, are thinking after, 8 hours of talking about it, and how many hours of talking about it off air.
Right.
I mean, we also put in a lot of time and effort.
We did. But not like the detectives.
No. and the other channels.
Yeah. And the other channels, absolutely. Those guys.
So good. Hey, to all the other channels.
All the other channels. We're starting a new year.
Stuff,
we're starting a new year, and I hope this is the new year because, me and Garrett, we're going to be leaving the Delphi and moving on. But if something comes up with Delphi, we'll come back on.
Yeah.
But man, like I said the last week, let's all work together, man. Let's quit bashing people and let's see if we can all, help the families out and see if we can figure out something, right?
Family and community, baby.
Family and community, baby. Well,
get us started, dude.
All right, let's get started. So let's do just kind of for some of the newcomers, we'll just kind of go over the case a little bit. And I hate reading, you guys. I have a learning disability.
Do you have your glasses?
You know what? See, I'm also
Is that why you're glad I'm
also
here?
stupid? And no. All right, does everybody have their coffee and their Diet Dr. Pepper?
No, wait. Our sponsor.
Our sponsor, Powerade Zero.
Yeah. Thank you, Powerade Zero. This is always quench your thirst.
When you need to quench your thirst, Powerade.
It's like kind of, I don't want to bash Powerade on YouTube.
Leave that over there, man.
I don't want to bash Powerade on YouTube, but the Zero is kind of watered down a little bit.
Hey, I do want to show you guys something that's really cool before we get started. My lovely wife bought me this awesome Christmas present, and it's right on the right side of Garrett over here. It's a flying UFO. It's actually levitating above a lamp. And how it works, it's UFO technology, right?
Yep. We'll get into that.
It's very cool. And then if you can slide that alien head over.
Wait, hang on. Hey, let me slide the gift that me and my wife got you over for the one Pam got you. Oh.
Yeah. Hey, I loved your gift. But yeah, it lights up. Right now it looks like your face is an alien face, Garrett.
I've come to contact you.
Okay. Yeah. But anyway, so that lamp is and your 3D head.
Yeah, but that lamp's also a speaker.
The lamp is cool. The lamp is awesome. A speaker. I love it. All
right. Moving on.
Okay, so I'm going to read this. Try to. At 1:35 p.m. on February 13th, 2017, 13-year-old Abigail J. Abby Williams and 14-year-old Liberty Rose Lynn, and she's called Liberty German, were dropped off by German's older sister Kelsey German at a trailhead on County Road 300 North, west of the Hoosier Heartland Highway. Garrett, you really should read these. The girls were hiking on the Monon High Bridge over Deer Creek among woodlands in the remote Deer Creek Township at 2:07. Libby posted a photo of Abby walking on the bridge after they weren't heard from again. They were reported missing at 5:30 p.m. after they failed to meet Liberty's father at 3:15. The families initially searched for the girls themselves before calling the police. Authorities who quickly searched the area did not initially suspect foul play in the disappearance. However, this changed when the bodies of the girls were found around noon the next day, about a half a mile east of the abandoned Monon High Bridge. The bodies were about 50 feet from the north bank of Deer Creek. So that's very brief describing the crime. And again, for you newcomers, I have a little slideshow so you can kind of see what this bridge looks like and the girls. That's the logo. And that's the bridge guy. Let me go back. I apologize. I really screwed this up.
That's our specialty.
Yeah, we do the best at screwing things up, right? And I'm totally. I apologize, you guys.
My God, Keith.
I know. I'm going to start letting somebody else.
You had the bridge earlier.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to let someone else start running this thing. I just need to talk, and that's it.
You're doing great.
It's like I'm running a spaceship over here.
Can you get to the bridge, or are we just going to?
No. First, that's the Delphi sign, and there's the beautiful girls, Libby and Abby. Okay, and now there's the bridge. Now, Garrett, as you know, I'm afraid of heights. There's no way in the world I would even try to walk across that.
Right.
And again, I know it's a faraway picture you can't see, but there's no side rails on this rickety old bridge, and it is a rickety old bridge. Built in the 1800s. And
aren't there like pieces missing of it?
Yeah, there's slats missing, man, where you actually kind of have to either hop over it or take a big step over it.
Well, which we'll get into.
Or fall to your death.
And I just wanted to point that out because for me, that's kind of an important detail of the bridge. So
yeah. And this is the picture we referred to earlier of Abby on the bridge that was posted at 2:07. And no, there's no mysterious guy hiding behind a tree. And no, there's the bridge guy back there. He's not back there.
I even said that like when I was first looking at this when you showed me.
Yeah. A lot of people thought that. And that's the part of the crime scene where they found the girls. This is 50 feet from the creek. And, okay, now there's a suspect.
PG?
Yeah. Liberty was smart enough to, and how smart is that?
I know, dude.
I mean, to pull out your phone when you
for sure
felt some danger, and she actually videoed this guy.
That was the wherewithal to do that.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant. She got this guy on video, and
which will be important in the future.
Absolutely. So there's just kind of a cleaned up version on the right. I think Gray Hughes may have did that. So I try to give. I didn't do this, you guys. So anytime I come across a picture, I try to give that person credit.
So this was Gray Hughes?
I'm guessing this is Gray Hughes because
yeah.
he really cleaned up the image, and it looked a whole lot better when he got finished with it. He's the one that actually got the bridge guy where he leveled it out, where he's actually walking straight instead of kind of that shake.
Right,
yeah. He's real good with the video stuff. Okay, and this is the sketch.
The initial sketch.
This is the initial sketch, the first one that came out. But the funny thing, this was actually, did you know this, Garrett? This was the first sketch that they had.
Well, I didn't know that.
But they didn't release it. They released the second sketch. So, which is
hey, and how many years later did they release this sketch?
That's a good question.
I mean, I mean,
know.
Not to get into the specifics, but it was like a while later, right? Like 2 years.
I would guess if anybody.
Was it not the last press conference?
Yeah, it was. They did release that.
Okay.
I don't know if it was the last press conference, but maybe it was. I'm sure someone knows.
Regardless, there was a significant
I'm looking in the chat
time.
room right now of other folks that I know that know this pretty good. So, hey, Ivy Rose, how are you doing? I know you know the case pretty well, so maybe you can tell us if this what year this one came out. But moving along now, I think now we're going to talk about the suspects, Garrett.
Okay.
Now, I believe this picture is actually from Michael Catt because he did a voice comparison, and just want to give credit where credit's due. It was the only comparison picture I could find. And I think this came from Michael's website, I would imagine. Okay, Thomas Bruce, again, then, I take my glasses off like 5 seconds before I start reading. Anyway, Thomas Bruce has formerly worked as a pastor, is charged with fatally shooting one woman and sexually assaulting 2 others after having ordered them at gunpoint into the back room of suburban St. Louis shop for religious supplies. Committed in broad daylight on November 9th, 2018, these crimes put Bruce in a spotlight on the press. Some noted his being similar stature, 5'7" to 5'9" inches. 2 and then current suspect description in the Delphi slayings. Also his wearing a flat cap and navy blue jacket during this attack, not unlike the suspect in the Delphi case. Indiana State Police did look into the possible connection in November. On December 4th, Bruce was charged with no fewer than 17 felony counts related to the St. Louis case and could receive the death penalty. And he's currently, because of COVID, his trial got put off till this year. I think it was initially supposed to have been in October.
Right.
So,
well, hey, and I think it's important that we say that any picture that we put up here, it's going to be of a scumbag like this.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and that's the reason, like, I know some people have a problem where you really shouldn't put side-by-sides. Now, I would have a problem if it was someone's neighbor who never had a criminal record.
For sure.
I would never do that. But with these scumbags who definitely have done some very, very bad things, I have no problem. As you guys know, I've said this a million times, putting side-by-sides up with a bridge guy. These are scumbags. They're criminals. I would never do that with, like, say some guy just said, "Oh, I think it's Joe Blow,"
right?
And Joe Blow has no criminal record or anything.
Well, and I think it ought to be said that like, and even Michael Katz, there's a compelling argument and theory to be tied to Thomas Bruce. So that's why that's significant that we put it up there and we say that. So.
Yeah, he looks familiar, and it'd be interesting if we could actually, if there's a picture of the coat and how he was dressed at the time of the killings, if to see if that blue jacket matched or
like some surveillance within the store. Yep.
Right. So we will move along to our next suspect. And what do you have for that?
Daniel J. Nations.
Okay. Yeah, Daniel Nations, which for some reason is out of order.
Here you go.
There it is. I found it. Yeah, this shouldn't. My producer's laughing really hard over there, so someone must have said something really funny.
Yeah, about your hat.
What did they say about my hat?
They said it looked remarkably like brick.
Oh, God.
Okay.
Okay.
All
Go
right,
live.
hang on a second.
Go live real fast.
Okay, we're going live. Okay, you guys.
Really fast.
Let me say something real quick. I used to live in New Jersey, okay? This is the hat I was going to wear before I was talked out of it.
Well, it's behind you. Can you get that?
Yeah. Okay, I've wore this hat for 10 years.
And in episodes already.
Okay, so if we take
Since I've known you, you've had that hat.
All right. This is my regular hat that I wear. I assure you I'm not bridge guy. I promise I'm not bridge guy.
But we said...
But yeah, I wasn't thinking, and
your lovely wife,
Garret, my lovely wife, said, "Do not wear that hat during a show. It's not a good idea."
So then, hey guys, really fast. He's like, "Okay, let me go change hats." So please change hats for us, Keith, if you wouldn't mind. So Keith decides to come in this hat, not the alien hat, and said, "Hey, is this better?"
And they said no. And I said, "But I like this hat. Actually, I like this hat, you guys. I've wore this for half my life, but
yeah, you're 20,
but a good
since I've known you.
I've had this hat. I bought it in New Jersey in 2009, and I wore this basically every day.
Well, you're not wearing it today.
Huh? Mr. Henry's the one who said that.
Okay.
Mr. Henry. Well, that goes to show. But anyway, so
okay, moving on. I'm glad we clarified that. Hey, the elephant is out of the room. Okay.
Right. So you're gonna, but the other hat, on my other cases we work on.
You already said you're like, I'm wearing this.
I'm
next
wearing
episode.
it because I've always liked that hat,
and we like it on you.
Well, I hope so.
Moving on.
Okay, so
Daniel J. Nations.
We're going to Daniel Nations. Daniel J. Nations, a registered sex offender from Indiana, was arrested at Woodland Park, Colorado in September 2017 and charged with threatening strangers on the Monument Trail with a hatchet. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm not laughing. Well, I was laughing, but it's just
You were clearly laughing.
That's insane, though. The expired Indiana plates on the car Nation was driving was noticed by police, who subsequently discovered an outstanding warrant under his name, fanning public speculation still further. It was reported that the bicyclist had been fatally shot on the same trail at around the same time that Nations was purportedly terrifying passerbyers. An El Paso County Sheriff spokesman told reporters that, however, many similarities there were between the cases, he was not at liberty to disclose them, since Indiana investigators did not want any more information released. Right? So, there's more. On January the 5th, 2018, Nations was sentenced to 3 years of probation for threatening members of the public in Colorado. However, he was not released since he had an active warrant out on him back in Indiana. On January 24th, Nations was transferred to Indiana officials' custody on the unreleased charge failure to register as a sex offender. In early February 2018, authorities said that Nations was no longer considered an active person of interest in the Delphi murders. So he, I guess, was ruled out,
Right.
or cleared, as they say.
And he's a registered sex offender.
He's a registered sex offender. And I mean, you know,
I was never convinced that it was him, but it's important because.
Hey, Matt Sullivan, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, what's up?
Matt.
What's up in Canada? I bet he's freezing. Hey,
Yeah.
but it's important because in one of our early episodes, we just kind of went through the suspects. That's why we're doing that. We're actually just kind of recapping in chronological order how we went through the case.
Right.
So he was a suspect.
Yeah, and a lot of people thought it was him. To me, he just looks a lot thinner than that guy.
Right, for sure.
And looks younger. To me, it still looks like a guy in his 50s, maybe from 50 to even late 50s.
Well, and
Daniel looks much younger, much thinner.
Well, and as per my theory, this wasn't some axe-wielding murderer. So
Yeah. And so our next one, this is Paul Etter. On July 23rd, 2019, after receiving a tip, authorities announced that Paul Etter was being considered a person of interest in the murders. Etter was wanted for kidnapping and rape of a 26-year-old woman on June 22nd in Tippecanoe County. 5 days later, Etter was surrounded by the police, and after a 5-hour standoff, he died by suicide. He shot himself.
And he does kind of look like the bridge guy, I bet.
He did. And
Where'd you get this comparison? Do you know?
I don't know. I just got it off the internet.
Okay.
I mean, I'd like to say, yeah, I went into Photoshop and
Yeah.
spent 2 hours on it. But no, I didn't.
Like, how does this damn printer work?
I know, right? Heck, I can barely do the show. Yeah, video editing and picture editing. And anyway, after we go through these guys, we're going to kind of tell you what we think on that. So this was a guy I liked for a long time. This was Charles Eldridge.
Let's clarify, too, for those of you who don't follow crime shows or you're not internet sleuths, he doesn't like him.
Yeah, I always use that term because I watch so much crime. I like this guy for that murder.
Yeah.
You know?
And you don't like him for the murder. You despise this person.
No, I despise him, but
you were on him for a while.
yeah, I just think
like
it's just
your
because
guy.
I watch so many crime shows. The guy goes, I really like this guy for this thing.
Well, everybody knows you love Joe Kinda.
I love Joe Kinda,
God, he's
and I'm so
awesome,
excited
dude.
he's got a new show out.
Yeah. And he's actually going to be on the show coming up, I think, maybe in a few months. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, right. Quit lying to these people. I'd love to have Kinda on this, see what his take is on this whole thing.
All right, tell us about this guy.
Okay, so Charles Eldridge, he was arrested on January 8th, 2019 at Union City, Indiana on charges of child molestation and, God, I don't think I'm supposed to say that, and child solicitation. Police in Randolph County alerted the FBI to a potential link between Eldridge and the Delphi murders on account of his strong resemblance to the suspect Sketch.
Is that why you were on him, though?
Yeah, I was, the thing that kind of got me on him was the fact he was into children.
Right.
And that he looked a lot like the Sketch.
He does.
And then, as you know, I did the blue jean pattern comparison.
So that was with him?
Yeah, where Gray Hughes just slammed me.
Yeah. So
made me feel like a moron.
Tell me about that. What happened?
I don't want to go into it.
Okay.
I don't want to, because we're starting this year off positive. We're not going to talk bad about anybody. But yeah. So I don't know, man. I mean, he said, well, you really should go through the frames and see if they're.
Yeah.
That's the way he sounds. And I did look at some other frames, and I did find some of the same patterns.
Well,
so
yeah,
just
you
to
did.
say that,
You did, yeah. You showed me.
But again, it's not enough concrete evidence to, you can't say, it could be some light anomalies going on.
Mm-hmm.
It was a bad video. You couldn't take in some guy because of his genes.
No, not at all.
But it's just kind of a coincidence. I mean, there's that tear in the left knee part of his gene. And Bridge Guys obviously looks to me like it is tore, right?
Well, and he looks a lot like the sketch.
And he does.
Well, and that's unfortunate for actually a lot of guys.
Right.
I mean, pretty much everybody we're showing besides that last one. No.
Okay. Now.
Oh, here you go.
Thank you very, very much.
You're so welcome.
Okay. So now we have a new suspect because we had Matt on last week. I think most of you guys were here for that. So we have this Gabe Ellis feller. Not him. Right there.
Hey, whoa, really quick. What was that last picture?
Okay. This is a picture of Charles Eldridge standing in his kitchen. And that's where I saw the
genes, right?
The similarities, yeah. And again, one day I'll learn how to use a pointer.
Yeah.
Where I can actually point for the people. I'm using OBS, so if there's any OBS people out there, send me a message.
So that's Charles Eldridge, though?
That's Charles.
Okay.
That's Charles Eldridge.
And I think you even in our last episode that we talked about him, we're talking about the way he stands, and even there's a voice recording of him too, right?
There, I don't. You know what? I don't know.
We had another voice of somebody from Facebook.
I can't remember. I don't think it was Charles Eldridge, though.
Okay.
So moving on
to Mr. Sullivan's theory.
To Mr. Sullivan's theory. We got Mr. Gabe Ellis.
Don't even put Mr. in front of his name. He's a scumbag too.
What, Matt Sullivan?
No, Gabe Ellis.
No, it's like, hey, Gabe's in the chat.
Yeah.
Gabe.
No, I really enjoyed our conversations on and off air with Matt Sullivan.
Yeah, I did
Gabe
too.
Ellis, he's a creep.
Gabe Ellis is a creep, and this is where he shaved his head, and then this is a picture of him with hair. Yeah.
Well, what's interesting is the one where he doesn't have hair was taken right around the time of the crimes.
Mm-hmm.
I think after. So.
Right. Yeah, I think that's what Matt said. But anyway, Gabriel Ellis, 40. And Matt, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I just wrote a kind of a little quick bio on him. Quick synopsis. On February 16th, 2017, Kokomo police captured Gabriel Ellis, 40, in the backseat of a car with a 16-year-old girl who had been reported as a runaway. Ellis was arrested on a warrant for child exploitation and possession of CP. During the search, police located a firearm and methamphetamines. Ellis was also charged with dealing methamphetamines, possession of methamphetamines, and felon of carrying a handgun. So if I remember right, I think Matt said basically the parents didn't press charges on the statutory rape charge, and
sentence got reduced.
His sentence got reduced, and he ended up just, I think,
12.
with a gun charge, a felon carrying a gun charge, I believe.
Yeah, and ended up with 12 years.
And ended up with 12 years.
And then somebody even commented that I think that got reduced as well.
Right. So, let me grab my other outline here. Okay.
God, all these notes we have to go through.
You know, I got to say, let's talk about this crime will lead you down a rabbit hole of hell.
It will.
It's the most, like I think I said last week, I started reading true crime stuff when I was 10 years old. I got into true crime when I was very, very young. The first book I read was Helter Skelter at 10 years old. And then I think the next one I read was the Zodiac. Now that's another one, the Zodiac killings, that can get you down a rabbit hole similar to this, because it's like, this case is the most bizarre case I've ever read about, and I've read a lot of true crime.
Did you think that, like, when we got into this, because you're the one that came up with the idea, hey, let's do this. Did you? And I was familiar with the case as well, so, but not like we are now. Experts with findings. But
yes, our detective skills.
Did you foresee this happening though?
No.
You thought we were going to do like one episode, and then
I thought we'd do one episode, and I thought that'd be interesting to do. I knew I didn't have the knowledge of the other YouTubers, and I was I gotta admit, I was a little scared and a little embarrassed because, I was just waiting for people getting there. Well, that didn't happen on that date.
Right.
You got the facts wrong on that. And And that kind of did happen.
Yeah, but as we continued on, and I think the people that were watching realized like who we are and what we're about.
Yeah.
They started realizing, oh, this is just like an open discussion. This is a platform where they're literally trying to learn the case and go down.
Yeah,
these.
but in their defense, I mean, they're right. I should have made sure I knew my facts, like the car, the white Dodge Dart. I thought that picture was taken from the Moline High Bridge Trail.
Yeah,
and it was not. And
but in your defense, is that we're having this conversation as they are having the conversation. I mean, we are doing our homework, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, we also have full-time jobs and families.
Right.
Right. But but in your defense, this was just a platform, and that was a discussion that we were having. And so some of those details, that's like in passing for us. We're trying to get the point across, because as we progress through this case, all of a sudden people started reaching out to us from everywhere.
Yeah, it was weird.
And that was shocking.
Yeah,
to me.
I had no idea the outpouring of people that contacted us.
Right.
Even people that I got a couple of texts or not texts, but emails from people who live there, and was talking. I was like, wow, this is weird.
Well, and at first I would, when we were starting to get into this, I was calling them factions. We were getting contacted from different factions because that's how it seemed. It seemed as though it was just this like battlefield out there between competing theories and people. But what I noticed was, as we progressed through our episodes, is that all of a sudden, to me, the tide seems to be shifting a little bit. And I thought you said it great. You said it great. It was like such a Keith way to say it. You're like, I want all the Delphi channels to take hands in 2021 and let's move forward together.
Yeah,
but,
I'm such a hippie.
No, but that's but that's our that's our thing. So but, I'm trying to defend you.
I'm a huge John Lennon fan, right? As you can see,
you are John Lennon.
And John Lennon was peace and love, and man, that's what I wanted. It's a shame that it's almost like it's a competition between some of these channels, and it's like, man, it shouldn't be that way. We all have we have a right to have our own belief about something.
Well, we 100%
and not be slammed by someone because of it.
Yeah, and you said it before the show. That everybody means well. Nobody's trying not to find the killer. Everybody wants
the same result,
and everybody wants it not for the. Well, you know what? No, I do think there are people out there that probably do want to solve this for themselves, but I would say a large majority of people, almost 98% of people, want to solve this for the family.
Yeah, well, I would hope so.
Right, but you know that there's 2% out there that, there's assholes that are out there, and I hate.
No bad language.
Hey, and
I'm playing it again.
No bad language.
Hey, and I'm glad you played that, because I was telling Keith, my goal today was to get 20 new subscribers. So I have a business that works with kids, and so I invited a lot of my college kids and high school kids, and so I'm glad. Although I've probably cussed at them before.
Yeah, that's something I kind of want to do. Is
I just wanted to mention that because even our kids are watching.
Because there's other ways of expressing ourselves and using different adjectives than the F word and other things like that. So I want to keep the show professional.
Well, and I want to mention
I don't mind
shit and ass, but
no bad language.
No, I wanted to mention it because at the end we're going to open up the phone line.
Yep.
And going back to the point is that we didn't realize, or at least I didn't. I'll speak on my behalf. I didn't realize going down the rabbit hole, as you called it, getting into this case would become so passionate, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't realize it would be a battlefield and that there were different factions. But I do feel like over the course of our 8 hours that we've discussed this, is that we've been able to find a lot of middle ground, and I'm actually proud of us for that. And so I wanted to pat you on the back because you're like, oh, I need to defend myself. No, you don't. You're doing great. I think you're doing awesome, dude.
No, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And I don't mean like when I get things wrong, it's like, yeah, maybe I should have did a little more homework, but I did study it. I've been, like I said, I've only been looking at this case for probably less than a year. And like I said, I've got people in the chat room that know way more about this case than I do. And so it is a little embarrassing.
But we have inundated ourselves in information since we started this.
We have, and we're getting there. My
God. Because you were even saying the other night, you're getting messages throughout the evening. I've been in contact with people that are reaching out to me. We've talked to lawyers and investigators and FBI agents, and all the resources that we have. And so maybe some of the details were a little off, but at the end of the day, we put a lot of time and effort into this.
Right.
It's a culmination. So that's why we called it the findings episode.
Yeah, which
we will get into.
Which again is so funny to me. But anyway, that's what we're all doing, right? I mean, nobody that I know of who has a YouTube channel on Delphi is a trained law officer or detective.
Right.
But we're all together just trying to keep it to light and keep it alive so that
life after life, man.
Maybe we can get this scumbag in prison who did this,
And I believe and you believe that this will, I think that they will find the
it's
person
or
people that did
one
this.
of the reasons I wanted to do it is it's a heart, because I have children, you have children,
right.
And you got children close to that age.
100%.
I can't imagine what that would feel like.
Yeah.
Losing my kids and not
Dude,
not in a car crash or anything, but someone took their lives
deliberately, yeah, and
in a horrible way.
Right.
And it's like, and then being a parent and trying to think, man, I don't know who did this, and there'd be all these questions you would have as a parent, going, why would you do this to my child? Why?
Well, and that's like the most intimate, part of this, and the biggest part of it. And then also the subproduct of that is something I always bring up, because I love our community that we live in.
Yeah.
And Matt Sullivan actually made a really interesting comment in our last video. Okay. Afterwards, he was grateful enough to come back, and we're grateful enough that he came back and answered some of the questions our viewers had. But he said that this community's stuck in time, like they're frozen in time. He said, and to me, like when I read that, I was like, man, like, the family, the community, everybody's frozen in time because they're constantly, this is never going to go away. There's not going to be any sort of, justice, obviously until justice, there's not going to be any peace that's going to be able to be found for not only family, but the community. So cheers to the channels.
Yeah, because I mean,
Hey, what are chapters, by the way? Not to show my ignorance, but everybody's like, I like this chapter, I like that chapter. What are they talking about?
I don't know.
Please, somebody answer that for me at some point in the chat.
What chapter? No, I don't know. I'd be afraid to even say anything. I don't know.
So anyway,
so then, I was going down our outline, which it said, how did we come into this case? And I think we kind of discussed that already.
Right, yeah.
I think you knew about it.
I did.
When it first happened. Now,
right.
I never heard of it until I like watching true crime stuff, and I came across it on YouTube.
Right.
And I thought, and I remember seeing John Kelly, this thing kept popping up constantly. Who killed Libby and Abby? Who killed Libby? And I was like, who's Libby and Abby?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I finally watched it, and then I started watching some of the other Delphi shows, and to me, it was very interesting and just horribly heartbreaking. And again, that's like I said, that's what, we need to do this we got to find this guy, man.
Right.
They got to find this, especially for the families, because I can't imagine going through your life not having those questions answered. Why would you do this? And who did this?
Right.
Just, I mean, it's horrible. So I came on the case, like I said, just going through YouTube.
I came on it just naturally when it happened, and it kind of blew up, and I was trying to follow it, kind of like on world news and stuff like that. And then Dr. Phil actually revisited it, and I am like such a proud Dr. Phil fan. I don't care what anybody says. Phil McGraw, man, I like quoting him in work all the time. My wife knows him. So, but he did an episode on it. And then I kind of just, life got busy, having kids and everything. And then you brought it up, and I knew.
Well,
immediately when you brought it up, I was like, I know what that is. Yeah. So.
Yeah. And that's the thing. That's the good thing about the YouTube channels, because there's, I'm not going to say there's not a whole lot of, what's the word without making it sound bad? Anyway,
contention.
There's not a lot of information being released by law enforcement.
Oh, God, okay. Facts,
but well, not just that, but just there's not a whole lot on the case being talked about, like every 2-3 months.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
So what's good is you've got the YouTube people, the community, who are talking about it weekly.
Right.
And so they're keeping it going. They're keeping it moving, which keeps pressure on law enforcement to solve this case.
Well, and even if they're moving in what others believe to be the wrong direction, movement is important, and especially in this kind of situation, keeping the ball moving. Getting even to Matt Sullivan's credit, getting the paperwork out there. Going down the is it Charles Bruce? Is that
No, Thomas Bruce.
Going down the Thomas Bruce, which I think Michael Katz, going down to that Thomas Bruce thing, because all of these things that I've came across and we've discussed all have a semblance of validity to it.
Yes.
Since the case hasn't been solved.
Right. And so the next thing I want to move on to is fingerprints and DNA. Okay.
Okay.
Now, and again, guys, correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought Sheriff Lesenby said, we know this guy did not commit a crime. Okay, so that would tell me, because this was before Indiana state felons had to submit their DNA. I think from what I read, that started in January of 2018.
Well,
that would mean, if he's saying they're not in a system, that would mean a fingerprint, I would think.
Right.
Right.
Hey, can I just really quick say, somebody had mentioned that the last episode, and when we got off the air, I was like, surely they've been entering that DNA since like 2010.
Yeah, and we'll get into that.
So yeah, okay. So 2018.
Let's talk about the fingerprints, and then
it would have to. So but the reason why you're bringing it up is because why that's important is that it CODIS, right?
Yeah.
The fingerprints in the. So what's your theory?
The DNA is in CODIS. And
right.
That pops up. But again, when this happened, from what I understand, Indiana felons they didn't have to submit a DNA sample. That was in January 2018. So it's a year later.
Right.
So if you've got, if Sheriff Lesenby said, we know this man did not commit a crime, then that tells me, okay, well, then you obviously have a fingerprint.
Okay, got you. I see. Okay,
you see what I'm saying?
Right.
Because he wouldn't say that about DNA, because
right.
There's at that time in 2017, there were felons who didn't have to submit DNA. They have to get a court order for the DNA, which I think they eventually did. But what's interesting is I wonder, where in the world did they get a fingerprint from?
Well, people have said that there were gloves left at the scene, which would mean he would have to have taken the gloves off.
Yeah, but I don't know, man. I mean, I've even heard, and I don't know if this is true, but I've heard actually trying to take a fingerprint off of a body that it left an oil imprint.
Okay, yep.
So they do, from what I understand, they do check the bodies for an oil imprint can be left on a body.
Right.
I watched a case where they went through a body looking for a fingerprint and they found one.
My God.
Isn't that crazy?
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, maybe it was taken off the body. Who knows? Because they're sealed. They got these things sealed. So we don't know anything about the crime scene. We don't know how the girls died, except for the leaked text messages from David Erskine, which I read somewhere that he did admit, I did put out those text messages. So if the man said he did, then we have to go with what he has on there as being true.
So your theory is that 100% the only DNA that they would have would be, or the only thing that they would have is be a fingerprint and no DNA?
Well, no, because I wanted to talk about the fingerprints first, and then let's talk about DNA. Okay. So I'm still on the fingerprints, which we're getting ready to get off of that because we don't know where the fingerprint would have came from.
Yeah, so continue on the fingerprint. I was just trying to, in my head, I'm trying to keep up.
That's basically it. I just that's what I was asking you is, what do you think? I mean, a fingerprint, if there were, I've read that rumor on the internet somewhere that there might have been some gloves. I don't know. But I mean, again, it's all speculation.
Well, what else? It is.
But there, so I don't know, man.
Well, you've been told.
Someone answer me this if you're in the chat room, because I remember watching somebody's video, and I think I'm on the right crime case. But did someone leave a knife stuck in a tree?
On this case?
I thought so. I could be totally wrong. So, all you guys out there who know a lot about the case, do you remember ever reading about? They found a knife stuck in a tree.
Hey, and really quick, can you mute that? Because I got to ask you a question to see if we can say it on air.
Can I what?
Can you mute us real fast?
Oh, yeah, because we're trying to, be. Okay, sorry about that.
Sorry.
Had to do
Well, no, there's just some sensitive stuff that I want to be careful.
Yeah, we want to be careful what we say.
And we want to be respectful.
I think
that's first and foremost.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So Matt or Ivy Rose, if you guys know, was there actually a knife stuck in a tree? Because I would think if it belonged to him, then, okay, there's your fingerprints, right?
Right.
I don't know. Okay, so now let's move on to the DNA. So
this is hugely important.
Yeah, because there was a big, there's a whole lot of talk about did they have DNA? Some people said no, they don't have DNA. Then some people said they did have DNA. But I think it's pretty obvious now from what the research I've done that they do have DNA because they started collecting DNA from the locals
Right.
after this crime. So we know they got, but we don't know how good DNA is it. Is it touch DNA? Did he accidentally cut his, if there was a knife involved, and again, I'm not saying there was, but if there was a knife involved, did he accidentally cut his finger? There was some blood at the scene that didn't match the girl's. That'd be fantastic DNA to have.
Right.
Or was this from,
Because there's speculation that there came from underneath the fingernails that one of the girls fought like hell.
Yeah,
right?
one of the girls supposedly fought like hell, Liberty, and possibly she could have scratched him hard enough where she got some
Right.
good skin cells or even maybe blood.
Well, for
under the
sure. Well, and
fingernails.
you see that all the time in crime scenes.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's one of the things they check on. So that's now, with that being said, if they have DNA, and I'm pretty sure they do, every one of the suspects we just looked at are not guilty.
Scratch them off the list.
Because I would, because I think,
Crimezilla says no knife.
okay, so Crime Villa, thank you so much. They said no knife. So maybe somebody put that down as false information. I don't know. But anyway, so yeah, what do you think about that?
Yeah, so one of my questions is because you brought up something interesting that Michael Katz said. Is it Mike or Michael?
It's Michael.
Okay, because I thought it was really funny. Say it. What did he say?
That was clever of Michael. He which is so funny that someone would tip him in because Michael's a really skinny guy. He has long hair. He has hair down to his elbows. He looks nothing like the bridge guy, but yet he did say that an agent did come to his house, a law enforcement agent, and asked for his DNA. And he said, no, man, absolutely not. I'm not giving you the DNA. And he said, by the way, thank you for letting me know that you have DNA on the murder.
So my question whenever you said that was like, do you think that they would be collecting DNA for future reference?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because they've been doing that since the 70s.
Right.
They've been collecting DNA with the hopes that the technology will catch up.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Like the rape kits that they had on the Golden State Killer was from the 70s.
Right.
And they kept. Yeah. Isn't it kind of strange? It's almost like, well, we have no reason why we're going to keep this, but we may keep this.
Yeah. Well, thank God.
But thank God they did.
Right.
That they were smart enough to think, well, maybe the technology eventually, off of whatever evidence we have, whether it's semen or whatever. I don't know if I can say that, but I just did. But
man, like somebody that is on a boat. Yeah.
Yeah, like a sailor.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that down the road that,
you know what I'm saying? That maybe they would be trying to collect this.
They probably knew, I think DNA was talked about even in the 70s, but it just wasn't at the point where we can match anything yet.
Right.
So they kept all the rape kits, they kept all the evidence at the scene. Cigarette butts were kept at the scene.
But we're talking about a system in Indiana that didn't start collecting DNA from felons until 2018. So my point would be that they would be trying to collect DNA from anybody that they thought may be a suspect or any tip in the hopes that maybe in the future this person would maybe commit a felony. And that because they're going to keep running this thing through CODIS if they have that kind of DNA.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, eventually, and I think that's how this case will get solved. I think eventually say that that none of these suspects, I mean, I'm sure Thomas Bruce, all those guys, they checked the DNA, it didn't match, because we would have an announcement now. I mean, that's one thing about, the Thomas thing where one of the Delphi groups thinks it's him, but me and Garret actually talked to a couple FBI agents and a lawyer.
A very good lawyer.
Very good lawyer. And he said if they had information like that say Thomas Bruce DNA did match, he said they would not wait to announce that. They would say, and it would be to keep everybody, to let the community know, hey, we caught the guy, your kids are safe, he's in prison. And he said absolutely 100% they would announce that. And then they would extradite him after. Now they would wait, let him finish his trial, but then they'd extradite him to Indiana
for sure
for his trial. But they would make that announcement immediately because they're having right now, especially with the pressure that they have,
exorbitant amount of pressure.
Of solving this case. If they had DNA, it would have been announced already. Whether it's any of those suspects sitting in jail, they would
Right.
announce it. And
because you had brought up a thing called second page, which
yeah, and I never heard of that. And it
Well, it's
sounds like
okay.
your attorney didn't either.
Well, no, yeah, the guy I talked to had no idea what it was. Well, he did like kind of speak on a couple of things like double jeopardy, which doesn't apply to this case,
No.
and comedy, which is not spelled like the funny comedy.
Yeah, it's not comedy.
It's like Latin.
CONECY.
ITY.
ITY. Okay.
And so there was a couple of things that he was, but basically what that person was saying was they're not going to announce it until Thomas Bruce has been, convicted of this crime. They can't try and so they're not going to say anything. But my point, even to that argument, was it would have been leaked out.
Oh, absolutely.
Like 100%.
100% would have been leaked out.
These guys would have been leaking that, these cops.
But
I would have leaked it out. I would have just lost my job. I would have come out and been like, hey, guess what, guys? It's Thomas Bruce.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And again, it's not Thomas Bruce. In fact, I don't think it's, well, we'll get into that.
Yes, we will.
So let's talk a little bit about the crime scene, which we don't know about.
Right.
So there's not going to be, this will be a quick discussion. There's theories that the girls were killed there and left there, and the searchers just didn't find them that night before.
Whew.
And then there's also theories that the girls were killed somewhere else and then
Moved back.
placed there and moved back, which I think would be incredibly high risk to do.
We'll talk about that.
Yeah, well, we can talk about it now.
Let's talk about it now.
Because we're talking about the crime scene. So go right ahead.
Well, I mean, it is compelling, the FLIR system.
Yeah,
That what is that thing called? A drone?
the drone.
So a drone was flying over the crime scene that evening with a FLIR system that picks up heat signatures. And they picked up some animals out there. They picked up the searchers, but they,
Right.
and I mean, does the guy say that could have been a mistake?
No, but I mean, well, and the thing, since Matt's in the chat room, I mean, Matt, is there a chance that guy just did not fly over where the girls were at? I mean,
Yeah, 'cause my other point
if
is-
he went along the Deer Creek bed, and just say he went 20 feet in or something on each side, then
Right.
he wouldn't have found him because
See,
they were
my thing
50 feet over.
Right. My thing though is that I'm sure he was above the tree line, and some have argued that maybe there was leaves and stuff.
The trees and
But
a
a lot of people have said that there weren't leaves. So I mean, because it was that
it
time
was
of year.
winter time.
Right. And so my point is that if he was up high enough, if he was able to pick up the searchers and even some animals, he probably would have been able to pick up 50 feet.
Well, let me
Because
ask you this, because
I have a drone in my gym, in my facility, and our facility is 40.
You got a drone?
Yeah, we fly our drone over it, and it can pick up like 40,000 square feet, and it doesn't, but you know what I'm saying. It picks up
Yeah.
how big our gym is. You've seen it; it's long.
I want to fly it.
You can, yeah, and
crash
so, yeah. But so my thing is knowing from the drones that we have, if that FLIR system was up and it's heating up, and I brought it up in the episode.
So yours has a FLIR system on it?
No,
too?
it doesn't. No.
Oh, okay, I'm
But I'm
sorry.
saying if it did have the FLIR system on it, like you would see all this movement, but you would also see two bodies laying lifeless.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
I
and
think.
let me ask Matt while you're in there, guys. One thing also, Matt, I was wondering about, because the leaked text said that Liberty was covered in leaves. Now, would that cover her body heat? Would that cover?
See, I don't think it would, because I've seen infrared from like police helicopters, and you got to do massive. In fact, there was a manhunt out here maybe 2 or 3 years ago. They had this guy trapped within like 3 square acres.
Excuse me.
Yep.
So, Pam, if he answers that, will you let me know? Okay, thanks.
And he had dug himself in like deep. He had gone through a lot to keep that infrared from seeing him. So I think that infrared can pick you up, like, and maybe even in the Boston bombings. I believe that's also how they picked the guy up that was hiding inside the boat.
Really?
I believe so.
Okay. So,
Yeah, and so-
that kind of answers that.
And
so,
I play a lot of Call of Duty. And so, I do. And but I just think that
I know what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying? I don't
Yeah.
think that leaves would necessarily like. We're talking about it's 2000. When did the crimes happen? 2016. 17.
Yeah.
I definitely think the technology would have been there.
Yeah, I guess the body heat would come up through the leaves and probably heat the leaves up, I guess, right?
Probably.
But what if you had a ton of leaves on?
Yeah, but that wouldn't.
But of
That's
course he
contrary to the crime scene that we've from the leaked text too. Though.
Yeah, and I guess they would have saw if Abby was up against a tree, and again, that's speculation, you
It
guys.
is.
And her, supposedly her legs weren't covered, that the drone would have picked that up.
Right.
And so, yeah, I mean, that's just so weird because then, I've and again, I don't know what to believe, man, because I've read where they said there was just a few drops of blood in the leaves,
Which is
it was
odd.
which was somewhat of a pristine crime scene, but could, and then I read someone put a comment up about, well, could the blood had just been absorbed in the soil?
They still would have been able to.
I think moving the body.
It doesn't just evaporate.
No, it doesn't evaporate, and blood's a lot thicker than water.
And there'd be pooling. And you got to think,
There would be,
the ground is really cold.
And I think once they move the body, that there'd be a ton of blood
Right.
in that area. So I mean, and that's so we, it's if you look at it where if some of these searchers, and again, speculation, I don't know.
Right.
If there was no blood at the crime scene, then there is a possibility that they were moved back. But man, the risk in doing that.
Oh my God.
And I know that there was one guy who he sent that that text message to Matt about, hey, I searched that area. I know these woods, and I know I walked by that area, and I didn't see bodies.
And this is somebody that's spent a lot of time out there.
Yeah, he lives in Delphi. So, man, I don't know.
But my argument to that was like, well, imagine if that happened in our community, and me and you we were like, hey, we're going to go out there and we're going to search that area out there.
Right.
I mean, your adrenaline would be pumping. You'd be like, and so there's a lot of things that could go wrong. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean,
and really, he didn't find the bodies. He clearly didn't find the bodies, so he doesn't really know exactly. He probably knows just about as much about the crime scene as we do.
Well, yeah, I think he knows. I mean, I think everybody in Delphi, after the bodies were removed and the crime scene was
that's true.
Cleaned
That's
up.
true, yeah.
Because I think Ron Logan did show a few people this is where they found the kids, and so they knew exactly where it's at. So if the guy went down there and Ron said, yeah, that's where we found him, and he goes, well, man, I walked by here 3 times.
Right.
But, who knows, man?
Well, see, I think the way, and what I've seen from these searches too, is that, here we go, is that, they're in these lines, they're spread out, and they're just kind of walking across, right?
I don't want to ask that.
Here, let me see. Oh, yeah, we're good.
Yeah, we're.
But you've seen these searches on TV and, like on shows you've watched, they're spread out to an extent where we can all see the peripheral, they got sticks and stuff. And so I'm just saying that there is a margin of error there.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
it's tough terrain.
There's a chance that they may have walked right by him.
Right.
Especially, if Liberty was covered in leaves and,
dark.
And it's dark. You maybe, I don't know what kind of lights. I don't know if they actually had they had to have the big stand up,
right.
Or big giant lights out there. But I don't know. I mean, that's kind of that's weird. God, there's just I wish they'd release some of the evidence. Listen, okay, the crime scene, just come out and say, okay, well, the crime scene was pristine, or no, there was blood everywhere.
Because none of that's verified, like in the public.
Yeah.
Right.
But what would make me wonder though is if if you went back to the barn theory, which I kind of don't think that happened, but if police indeed, if they searched the barn, right, that just them searching one place would mean that tells you right there the body's removed. That's actually a really good point. Because did they search the barn? Do we know that? I don't know. If they searched anywhere around there, then that tells us right there that law enforcement thinks the bodies were moved back. True. I mean, because why would you waste your time going to? That's actually a really good point. The barn to I mean, and again, I don't even know if they searched the barn. I don't know if they searched other places. Right. But it'll only take one place to answer that question. What's that? If you think. No, that's what I'm saying. Oh, yeah. If they searched one place. Oh, no, for sure. To looking for blood evidence, then that means the body's removed. Right. Yeah. So. Right. And we don't know that, again, because they're holding that close to the vest. And, that's. My belief is that they weren't moved. I mean, even with the FLIR and all that, I mean, and I use the word compelling all the time with this case. That's compelling. Yeah, well, and I saw someone else say on another YouTube channel that the guy who flew the drone never said he went over the area where the bodies were. Okay. But I don't know. But I mean, we would have to find out from him, Yeah. Hey, Katie, how you doing? Katie Sharp, that's my little daughter. I mean, she's not little anymore, but she's still little to me. Love you, baby. So that's the DNA. We talked about the crime scene.
Well, let's go.
Is there anything else about the crime scene?
Well, to the crime scene, no. Actually, no. There's not.
Okay.
I'll get into it because part of my theory is that they couldn't have been moved.
Okay.
As per my theory.
Yeah, I mean, the next on our outline is after crime scene is findings.
Well, I think there's only one person did it. And
okay, before you even say anything,
Yeah.
do you want to talk? You seem like you had something you want to say about the crime scene.
Well, no, yeah. I just feel like if one person did it, even to move two willing or unwilling participants that are alive to a place, murder them, a search party comes through, and then to bring two lifeless bodies back is A, too risky, B, it's too taxing, okay? And I'm not judging by appearance of the bridge guy or anything. I'm just saying for a regular, like even someone that's really in shape, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you've seen firefighters have to train all the time to carry people.
Yeah, and that brings up something else that crossed my mind when you said
ahead.
that. But if you want to finish,
No, please.
Why wouldn't you? Okay, there's a private road under the Monon High Bridge, right? Wouldn't it be easier, and after you committed a crime like that, park your car? Although there'd probably be a chance someone would see it, but still, because you knew, like, I'm not in shape to go up and down this terrain, right? And to walk all the way back to the CPS building or whatever. Why not park your car there, and then you do the crime, you cross the river, or the creek, Deer Creek, and then you walk across that land, jump in your car, and you leave.
See that?
Why go all through going through this heavy terrain?
See, where you look at that as being a high risk, I look at that as being a low risk.
No, I look at that as being a low risk.
What? To park the car?
Yeah. Even though
No, I know, that's what I'm saying.
Right.
I look at it the way that I believe happened, where the reason why he didn't park there and the reason why he would have committed the crime and then walked out is because he knew that area so well that he knew that he could commit this crime in this period of time, right? Which is an odd period of time to commit a double homicide.
Very.
Okay. And so I believe that he was minimizing his risk because he knew that area so well. And he had this so well planned that he knew if a hiker or anybody came across those bodies, by the time they got the information relayed out to law enforcement got there and was able, because he knew where he was committing this crime. This is a trap to me. And so I believe that he knew exactly what he had to do. And so it's actually more of a risk for him to park underneath and be on that road with a big ass car, right? And like having to drive and everything like that. So for me, parking at the CPS building, him making that long trek was him minimizing this risk.
Yeah.
Because he was so well planned out.
Yeah, and definitely whoever did this, I do believe they knew
this tape down here. I'll tell you what, dude.
You know what? We can take it.
Can I take a look?
It's because we moved. Yeah, you can take it off.
Okay.
It's because we moved the tables for.
Well, if I had shoes on, it wouldn't be a problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
Better.
Yeah, we had to raise the camera up so you'd have to see Garrett's big stinky feet.
Okay, good.
Right.
So yeah, that's me like saying that the person that I theorize did this. It goes towards like that's my belief is that it was a tactical decision on his part to execute the crime the way he did, to absolutely minimize all risk. So by the time somebody did, he knew he was weighing the pros and cons of his crime. He knew that if somebody came and walked across these bodies while he was still making his route, that it didn't matter because that he's probably walked that path many a times. Mm-hmm. This wasn't his first time out there.
No. I think the guy, he wasn't just some dude who wandered onto this trail and decided to kill somebody. He knew the ins and outs of there, and he planned that very well because, again, like you said, minimizing risk is the most important thing.
Right, for sure.
You don't want to be out there for long.
Well, that's why it hasn't been solved.
Right.
That's why there wasn't much blood left.
Yeah.
If that's the case. right?
Yeah.
And even if there was a lot of blood left, that's why we haven't found the guy yet.
What do you think his escape route was then? I know you just kind of talked
Well, I don't
a little
know.
bit
Like,
about it.
I don't know the terrain as well as you. Like, I don't know.
I don't either.
I know,
dude.
but I don't know the layout. But
I've seen the maps.
yeah, but all I'm saying is any exit strategy would have been fine as long as it wasn't the way he came in. So I believe that
Yeah.
he came in one way, did what he needed to do, right, and then went out another way, minimizing his risk, saying because you don't want to walk back and forth past people,
No.
right? And I believe that.
Wouldn't it have been much easier to have to park your car somewhere and just go across the creek? And
Yeah, but
jump in
killing
your car?
2 people isn't easy.
No, it's not. It's not.
If you're going to go through all of that to kill 2 girls in midday, you're going to go through all the trouble to walk to your car, even if it's 2 miles away. I think.
But don't you think? I mean, somebody would have saw him walking down the interstate.
Well, would he have had to walk down the interstate, or is there another small road? Or
Okay, unless, and you guys can help me out with this. Unless I'm correct, it looks like the Hoosier Highway runs. You know, it runs along the bridge or the trails, right?
Okay.
And the CPS building, it was like kind of looked like it was in the middle of the highway. Now I could be wrong, and someone can correct me on that. And Pam, if you'd look for that, if they're you would have to walk on the shoulder of the highway down quite a ways,
Right.
and then cross the highway over to the CPS building to
Right.
get in your car. To me, that's high risk.
Yeah, sort of. But, we have, like, in Oklahoma City, some major highways, too. And, like, if you go out west, like, towards Weatherford, and again, I've never been to Delphi. I'm just trying to imagine the size of the town, okay? So we're out towards Clinton. We're out towards Hinton. We're keep going further and further west. That's kind of the more like the Delphi area would be, right?
Yeah.
Is that it's not uncommon, honestly, to find people walking on the side of the road. And it's really not. If that's a major road where it's
Okay, well, that brings up a good point. So,
I just drive by.
Let's talk about this.
Wait. If I'm on a back road, okay, and I'm not going to name our streets because Cass is freaking out, okay. No, but let's say
Like the bridge guy's watching this.
Yeah, well,
These guys are getting close.
could be right. I mean, really.
Well, I bet you money the bridge guy watches a lot of those channels. I'm not saying ours
Right.
necessarily, but the people who have way more
Because
knowledge
he's a
than us.
freaking psychopath.
Yeah,
And
sure.
so, but if we're on one of the, because we live in a community that becomes rural. That's a hard word to say. Rural. I also have trouble with the word squirrel. Squirrel. I just corrected that recently. But if I'm going down one of these roads out like west of here, these back roads, and I see somebody walking and getting into a car, and then I would notice that more so than somebody walking down the highway. Honestly, that's me personally.
Yeah.
And getting into a car, I would just be like, okay, they're walking to their car. They're out of gas.
Well, let's talk about this. Okay, let's take that scenario. Let's say he did walk. Has anyone answered that? Is the CPS building like alongside the highway? That's what it looks like on the map. But anyway, so let's talk about this. Did he walk with his blue coat on and his jeans, which I would think if this murder was done by knife, he would be a bloody mess.
Right.
What did he do with his clothes? I mean,
What did he have in his jacket though? Because you brought up a
well,
really good
that's
point.
the thing. Is what if you look at
Could
that?
you not have a little duffel bag in there?
Absolutely. That jacket, you can look at it. It's filled with stuff.
It is.
It could have been plastic bags to put his clothes in, possibly. But then you got to think about he can't. Well, he could walk down the highway with carrying a plastic bag. But I don't know.
No, I mean, but he could easily have a duffel or a backpack in there, and he could easily stuff it. And I mean, is it uncommon, dude? Every person
that's
you
actually
see,
a better idea.
Everybody you see walking down the highway has a backpack on because that's what's
because they're homeless.
Yeah, or they're hitchhiking, or they're committing a crime, right?
Yep.
I mean, I always thought I would hate to live in one of those houses off the turnpike.
Oh yeah.
Right? Like you have this beautiful property that backs up to the turnpike. And I even said, like, when I was working for Randy Quaid, for the viewers, in Cibolo Creek, which was super rural, we would have people come in to our little compound that we were staying at, which is weird. So I always thought, like, when I'm going down the turnpike, I would hate. And so bad things happen off highways, dude. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, all the time.
And so, but it wouldn't be uncommon to see someone walking down the highway with a backpack on.
Right.
You okay?
No, it's just I'm old. That's all.
Okay, I'm just making sure.
I was stretching my arm out a little bit. No, but that's a good point, because actually the duffel bag makes a whole lot more because when we were driving down a highway, every time you see a hitchhiker or
Right.
someone, he's usually got a duffel bag.
I'm on the highway
Carrying
every
it.
day, dude. I drive all day. So do you. I mean,
Yeah.
you used to.
I used to drive all the time. I used to
Yeah.
drive about
So how many
700
times
miles
have
a
you
week.
seen, like even today?
All the
Okay,
time.
because
Probably every day.
Okay, I can say this without Cass getting mad because I take like I-40, I-44, 240, whichever route on the major highways in Oklahoma City I have to take to get to where I'm going quicker. I take them, and dude, I can't. I'll start doing this next week. I'll count how many people I cross.
Yeah, when I used
It'll
to,
give me something to do while I drive.
I used to drive to Clinton every day.
Well, you used to drive everywhere.
Everywhere. And yeah, I mean, I can tell you without a doubt, I saw at least one or two people walking down the interstate
Every day.
Look, hitchhiking,
Right.
carrying a duffel bag.
It's not uncommon.
It's not. But do you think that with this type of crime, that people would go back and remember, like it's the next day, saying, "Wait a minute, I saw a guy walking down the street."
You would.
know,
But
and-
would you be
and
able to recall that? Because it's so common. That's what I'm saying, though. Like my point.
I could probably recall it, but not tell you exactly what he's wearing. Go,
Right.
yeah, well, I saw a guy, but honestly, I wasn't really paying attention. But
Well, I see.
that's still,
I actually would probably be able to recall because I have a 10-year-old. Sorry, Cass. But no, I do, and she has questions, right? And so, and for my business is in a part of town where we come across some transits from time to time. Okay, I had a standoff at the dumpster like 3 weeks
a
ago.
standoff with a
Dude,
homeless
I was
guy.
like taking out the trash, and we met eyes, and we were both like 10 feet from the dumpster, and we just sat there. We were playing a game of chicken. Like,
give me that trash.
well, I was like, well, we throw a lot of cardboard boxes and stuff in there, right?
Right.
And so we were standing there, and I was like, "Who's gonna go first? Who's gonna go first?" And he turned around and walked off. I was like, "Okay, good." But she has a lot of questions, right? So she has. But if it was just me, like it is during the day, driving around, I'm not probably gonna notice somebody walking down the. And I hate to say that sounds terrible of me to say.
I think I would, but again, I don't think I could give you a good eyewitness description.
right.
But I would think I'd say, yeah, I remember someone walking down
Have
there,
your
but
side.
I couldn't remember
Right.
what. I couldn't tell you what
So
it looked like.
where does this-
But that would even give you a little bit of good evidence that okay, that's kind of odd. Well, no,
60,000
well,
tips though, dude.
I know.
What's to say that somebody didn't see him? And because think about the second sketch that came out. That was actually the first sketch.
And that really confused people.
Yeah, but that was also the first sketch.
That was was
Right.
the first. From what I understand, that was the first sketch they made. They hadn't released it. They released the one where the.
Why is this case so confusing? Oh my god!
That's what I'm
Sorry,
saying.
dude, sorry.
This case is worse than, like I said, the Zodiac case. I mean, you can go down a rabbit hole. Like I studied the Zodiac case forever, and you go down this rabbit hole of never ending. And I think this case is very similar to that.
Right.
There's so
Hey,
many.
look at my tattoo.
Yeah, you got a rabbit hole.
Damn rabbit.
Damn rabbit. But it's the most bizarre.
Because my question is, how does the CPS building even come into play? Is this people speculating that that's the only way that this crime could have happened?
Well, no, they're not what they're saying is there was a white car parked there during this crime.
For sure, 100%.
Okay, for 100%, someone saw this car
Okay.
parked there during
Eyewitness.
this time, and law enforcement came out and said, "Hey, if anybody can identify, there was a car parked at the old CPS building. If you have any information on this car, please call law enforcement. Let them know," because they're thinking that was the getaway vehicle,
Right.
for them to to leave. Again, to me, I mean, and we'll get into that in our findings. I just think, wow, that's still. I just if you just killed two girls and just walking down the major highway, what if and the chance of a highway patrolman, it would be on his dash cam, right? Or anybody who had a dash cam, law enforcement could have said, "Hey, anybody driving at that time, if you had a dash cam, bring your dash."
And what's to say they don't have that though? And it's just a guy.
And exactly, and that's right, because that's the thing. We don't know,
Right.
We don't know. Even if there was a guy walking, it doesn't mean it's the bridge guy.
Right. Well, and this goes to my point too. That is that for us. Okay. It kind of goes to my point too. That my theory is that this is somebody that's done this before. This isn't their first time.
This is a very good comment from Doug, and I've said this a million times, and I don't know.
Oh God,
If
you have.
If this was a manpower problem, but if I would have been,
well, you want to read it first?
yeah, basically it says, have they viewed local store cameras? And I've said over and over and over, and I know I'm repeating myself, but I would have checked every gas station, truck stop within a 100-mile perimeter of Delphi, because eventually this guy, and let's say he lived in a different town, he had to stop and get gas. He had to stop or use the bathroom. He had to stop and get rid of the clothes, possibly. I mean, I remember a case that they did catch a murderer who he pulled his pickup truck up to a dumpster at a gas station, and he was dumping.
Oh, it happens all the time.
Dumping all the evidence in there, and they caught him red-handed.
I mean,
on his
there's
film.
actually a show called See No Evil on ID channel.
Yeah.
Where every show is about how they solve cases through Walmart cameras and store cameras and things of that nature.
Right.
Okay, I'll have an argument for that.
Okay, well, let me finish.
Go ahead.
So that's what I'm saying is, did they have enough manpower? Because that would take a long time. I mean, if you're talking about every gas station, truck stop within a safe, well, you could maybe even narrow it down to 50 miles, and it would still take a long time to go through there. But I would think at some point the guy's got to use the bathroom, eat, get something to drink, use the, whatever.
Well, or
get gas.
You would think that they would have already done that because the FBI was on the scene the next day. And now they do have the resources. Because if the FBI wasn't on the scene, then you would say, okay, maybe they just didn't have the resources or the manpower to go out. But, okay.
Right.
But if you're a cold, calculated killer, okay, that has waited, I hate putting you on the spot, but Evansdale.
No, that's fine.
Evansdale, when was that? 2009?
No.
11?
No, I think that was 2013.
Oh, yeah, 13. So
2013 or 2014.
You're right. I'm sorry. So I think it was 2013. So if you're a cold, calculated killer, this is your thing, you're a serial killer, right?
Yep.
Again, we're minimizing risk, okay? Because we want to keep doing this. We want to keep, and I'm talking on behalf of like this person, is that they want to continue to do this. They want to feed their craving. Is that, wouldn't you be prepared? Like, wouldn't you have gas in your car filled up? Because I like to fill my car up the night before I go to work. Okay.
Yeah.
And so, but wouldn't you know that I'm going to be able to get 400 miles out of the way? I'm going to pee in a bottle. God forbid I have to refill my car. I'm just going to pull over on the side of the road and put gas in it. Like, I broke down. No one's going to look twice, right?
Very good point.
So that's what I
mean, if you're, so our producer Pam said what? Yeah, they're saying that in chat. So yeah, that's.
And just so you guys know, I don't see the chat at all. I like to just speak about what's in my brain because that's all I care about. I'm selfish.
I'm kind of looking at chat right now, but yeah. So that's a great point because you to commit something as horrible as this, and you obviously you don't want to get caught. That you may be right on.
Right.
You may have had a bottle to urinate in if you needed to. And had extra gas cans.
Tell me you've never pissed in a bottle before on a long road trip.
Oh, shut up.
Back in your VW van, touring around.
Yeah.
Peace, love, tranquility.
Peace, love, baby.
Piss in the bottle, man.
No.
No, but I do think that like that would be.
No, that's a very good point. Very
closer,
good point.
Man, because I still believe that the Evansdale case and the Delphi case are connected.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, what do you think?
We'll talk about that when we get to our findings.
Okay.
I think.
Well, what are we talking about right now? I thought we were talking about findings.
Well, no, because I kind of have
the crime scene. Yeah. Okay.
We talked about the crime scene. We brought up the surveillance cameras, but I mean, that guy, if he did have a bottle to urinate in, and he had the extra gasoline, but I mean, actually, if you got a car. And let's just say it was the Dodge Dart. I'm sure it gets pretty. You probably could drive 300 miles without.
Yeah.
He filled up before he got there.
Yeah.
Okay. Check the cameras before.
Yeah.
Check the cameras before.
Yeah.
See if this guy walked in, got something to drink.
And they probably did. Honestly.
They probably did. I don't know how far they would go out in the perimeter of that, but also that would take a lot of manpower. I mean, you're talking about you'd have to have several detectives.
Can I get this out of the way real quick so I don't mess it up?
Absolutely.
Oh, God, I don't want to mess this up. Garret, talk about... Okay. My wife gave me a pump talk before this because she knows how bad I am with Larry and his name.
Yeah.
Talk to a friend who's in the FBI.
Right.
The only reason that they would have been there the next day so quick, because I was like, dude, they didn't even have freaking...
And let everybody know, Garret talked to an FBI agent before he got here. And
that is awesome, man. Like, okay, I'm not going to talk anymore about him because I'll say his name.
Yeah, don't say his name, but just go ahead and tell them why you talked to the FBI agent.
I wanted. Go ahead.
No, that's what I was going to say.
Well, I wanted to know why if the night before they called off the search early, if they didn't even call in search dogs, right? When counting over, Ivy Push even, has clarified that there were search dogs, then why were they there so quickly the next day? And we had speculated, you and I, that...
Right. Why was the FBI even involved in
Right. And so he said...
State case.
And what he said was it would either... The state police would have had to request their special crimes unit to come in, and because the scene is either big and chaotic or confusing, and they have the tools and the manpower that could come in and really process that crime scene and get it done properly. Okay. So that's one. Two, it would have to be some sort of interstate killing. Okay. So something similar across state lines. Okay. Or in a similar.
This is what he told you.
This is exactly word for word what he told me.
Okay. So this, guys, again, this is coming from an FBI agent. Go ahead.
Who's active right now, actively working on cases. Or thirdly, that the bodies would have had to have been posed, or there would have to have been something that linked them to other cases that are on the radar.
Okay.
And so that's the three reasons why the FBI would have been there so quickly the night before, or the day of the findings, but not the night before.
Okay, so it was there because
I guess that goes to the crime scene.
Yeah, but could you reach out if you were a small county and this is a big murder?
You would reach out to state police.
Okay, you'd reach. Okay, could the state police? Because I'm going farther, but could the state police say, "Hey, ask the FBI for help," just because? Hey, man, we've never had anything like this happen.
For sure.
So
100%.
So that could be another reason then.
You're right. It could be that the state police came in, the next morning. And you got to think, I believe that every state has a field office. Somebody can tell me if I'm wrong, but I believe that there's an FBI field office, at least regionally. Yeah. They would have been able to get there pretty quick. It wouldn't have taken long. And so, the state police could have very well come in and been like, hey, whoa.
Well, I think and I think your FBI agent, of course, I think he's right.
Yeah.
No, but I agree with you because there was some talk about signatures left at the crime. Right. So signatures meaning, again, for you people, signatures, it's not that the guy signed his name anywhere.
Right. Yeah.
It's certain things he may have done at previous crime scenes that matched another crime scene.
And the local police could have seen that and thought, well, that's weird.
Yeah.
Let's ask state police, because even we have OSBI. So they would have had something like that, right? Like the Indiana State Bureau of Investigation, which then they would have, reached out and been like, hey, we need it. So something about that crime scene was weird.
You know what the sad thing about that is, though, because they're not releasing what the signatures are, right? Because they want to connect it. So that just means, okay, now if we wait for another murder to happen, and so it's like, right. Because they can't say anything because in case this guy kills another couple of girls,
they have to know.
And the cops have to know, okay, this is definitely connected because he did the same thing with these other two crimes. But how sad is that? I mean,
I know, but how many cases have they solved where, and you talk a lot about false confessions being a problem and an issue, and I think it's probably happened in this case, has it not? Has it?
Yeah, but my theory on the false confessions with the Delphi.
No.
Okay, well, I told you.
We've talked about this so much.
I know. Okay, here's the deal. We've got video of the guy.
Right.
We've got his voice.
Oh, right. Yeah,
If I'm a state police officer or a local law enforcement, and a guy sits down and he starts telling me about the crime scene, I go, damn, he looks a lot like that guy.
Yeah. For sure.
Say a guy of 5'1" comes in and goes, I committed those crimes.
Right.
Voice isn't the same. It's like, I already know it's not you. Get out of my office.
Yeah.
So they're holding that stuff close to the vest, but at the same time, it's not really going to help them in a false confession.
Right.
Unless the guy looks similar.
Right. But the only reason why that they would hold that was to be so that the investigators that have seen the crime scene and the killer and obviously the girls.
Yeah.
Those are the only ones that know certain details about this crime.
Right.
And isn't that how who was it? You were talking about somebody calling in and BTK being upset. Tell them about that. Because I thought I didn't know that.
Where he was mad. Yeah, they had actually had.
That's the actually false confession I was talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of serial killers have this huge ego and are narcissistic, as we know.
Right.
and they want credit for what they did, right? So early in the BTK case, they had made an arrest.
Right.
And they arrested this guy, and BTK wrote a letter and goes, hey, that wasn't them, that was me.
And
he started giving some evidence about the case. And so they released this guy that they had in custody because BTK couldn't stand it that someone got credit for his murder.
Right.
Just bizarre.
Right. So that's why obviously they're withholding, I think, information. It kind of ties in.
Who said this, Pam?
Several.
Okay, let me just say, sorry, Garrett.
Yep.
This is very interesting, you guys. Several in chat saying FBI agent was in town visiting family. So he may have just been there and said, hey, do you want some help with this?
Wait.
So that's very interesting.
Let me see that again.
But
Or in the nearby area.
But Pam, wouldn't they, and Garrett,
But
wouldn't you have to, I mean, you just couldn't
there's protocol. So one thing
Protocol,
my guy
yeah,
said is like an FBI agent couldn't just be on the ground and be like, hey, call in his like FBI buddies.
Right,
Like
right.
they would have to be requested by like the state police.
And I'm sure he would
there's
have
a
to
chain
get
of command and there's a checks and balances that are involved.
right, and
because every state's different.
And from his
sovereign
field,
state.
Yeah, because you think also he would have to call his field commander,
Right.
and say, "Hey, they're wanting me to help on this case. What do you want me to do?"
Right.
Because you just because you're in town doesn't mean, and you're an FBI agent, doesn't mean you can go to a crime scene.
Well, I can speak to that because my guy specifically actually mentioned that.
What do you say?
He said that every state is a sovereign state, so that there's a protocol in place. Like the laws in Oklahoma are drastically different than the laws in Indiana, right? Like we can buy weed, like just to show an example. And so the laws are different, but the protocols remain the same as per agencies. So like the state police, I think, would have to request the
Right, and they just couldn't go into a crime scene. They would have to get permission.
Right.
Because now,
and there might be another reason why, but that would mean that they'd be in there later. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Now, I could see them off the cuff meeting with the guy, not having him at the crime scene, going, "Hey, this is what we found. What do you think?" But even that,
dude,
to give your professional your professional information, you've got to get permission.
Right.
From your field commander before you can.
Well,
do
you always
like
see
that.
like on the TV shows, we're like, "Oh, the FBI's here." And they're like,
everybody hates.
Scene.
This
is our case. Hold me back. Yeah. This is our case.
Well, that goes from your local police to your state police.
Yeah.
They're like,
"Hey, stay
away from our crime. We'll take because they get that ego
right
where they don't want you on their turf, and it's like, we'll solve this. We don't need your help.
Right.
But in this case, I don't think that was the case. I think
that what we're saying though,
but that does happen often.
Right.
Okay, Pammy.
Bobby Eldridge says he was off duty.
He was off duty,
but part of the search.
But he was part of the search. Okay, well he could do that.
Right, 100%.
Absolutely.
Hey guys! Every time I say
shot.
Every time I say 100% in a show, please take a shot of whatever's laying around.
Yeah, my wife constantly gets him hell about 100%.
Well, it could be a lot worse. I could be saying something.
I love you.
Yeah, she still loves me. So, but I think that the point I was trying to make was the fact of like what my guy was saying kind of goes to the crime scene.
Yeah,
that something was off about that crime scene that warranted the FBI being there so quickly the next day. And by quickly, I mean even if it was like at noon. Well, you know what I mean?
I think like you. I think that they possibly this is a serial killer. I mean, you got to look at it like that too. Possibly a serial killer. The girl, all they would say about the crime scene, it was very bizarre,
Man.
which means people again are speculating they were posed or whatnot. But I think that's probably a big part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Is they got to go look and see. Okay, call the FBI. That's probably protocol, wouldn't you think? If you have two girls in a bizarre crime scene.
Okay, in a bizarre crime scene. Because I asked. So I was like, so would that be normal, like standard procedure? Would that be like the SOP if in Oklahoma you came across two, like if they were under a certain age and they were murdered? He's like, no.
Oh, really?
He's like, no, they wouldn't call in the FBI. That would be like state and local. And then they would only call in the FBI during the 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
So he said.
That's it.
And I'm glad I'm asking. I asked him that. He was in a really big hurry too. Stop. I can't say anymore. Move on past the FBI agent. No, but I do think.
But what's
it's
cool
important.
Yeah, it's cool that we now have, because one of my best friends called me today, said, hey, I got an FBI friend. He said that he'd answer any question you guys have.
Right.
It was weird because Garret contacted his FBI friend. So now we got,
right.
in future cases that we're going to cover, we've got 2 FBI agents we can talk to. And then we have a judge.
Right.
That you're scared to approach because he looks mean.
Yeah, well, hey, and also the great thing about the having like, and I'm just gonna say this is the guy I know is just I know him personally for a very long time.
Yeah.
So it's such a great source, and he has so much integrity that like I can't wait for future cases that we can like kind of tap into his knowledge and his way of thinking, because it's a lifestyle. Like I even have to turn off like when I walk into the studio. I have to turn off the way I'm thinking in order to do what we do, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm so engaged in my job and so it's interesting and it's great to have those resources through your friend and through my personal friend, and so it's awesome.
I just noticed you grow a beard quick, don't you?
German. I'm Bavarian German.
Like you can grow a beard in like one day.
I'm a Bavarian German. Yeah.
Last week, weren't you clean shaven?
Sort of, yeah.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
That's like on SpongeBob when he's like, SpongeBob's growing a beard.
Hey, I love SpongeBob. Is he not the hardest worker ever? Have you seen the episode where they make him take a day off from work and he just freaks out? Have you seen that episode? Man, I love that
We've
episode.
seen all episodes of
I know.
SpongeBob.
You have a SpongeBob blanket.
Okay, we got it.
Sorry, go ahead.
We're getting off the track there.
So, like, to my point is the crime scene is bizarre. There's speculation, there's text messages, there's eyewitness accounts. I think there's searchers that have spoken out. Now we know that, like, on the FBI side of things, what their protocol is and why they would be involved. So obviously the crime scene is highly intriguing, very classified, and they're not telling us much. So,
right. So do you want to move on to our findings?
I do.
Okay, you want to start? Or
Well, I've already gotten into mine. I mean, I think it's one guy.
okay,
I think it's
and you think he's connected to Evansdale?
I do think he's connected to Evansdale. And guys, what I was telling Keith is we're actually, again, this is our findings episode. We're going to move on. But we will circle back around to this case. And I'm hoping that, like, this is my busy time. When things settle down a little bit, one of my, what has become a passion is I actually want to try to find some other cases because I didn't even know about Evansdale.
Yeah.
I mean, we were talking like last night. We were like, dude, so many people, like even the guy I talked to today from the FBI, he's like, had no idea about Delphi.
Yeah. Well,
Right?
I'd never heard of it until last year.
So and I challenge you guys to do the same thing is let's try to find some other cases that are similar, because if you go back to our Evansdale/Delphi episode, I think that we lay out a compelling case that these two are tied in together. And I know that in that episode, we even said that I think they publicly said, no, I don't think that we've talked to each other, but
Yeah, they don't think there's a connection.
and maybe though that's part of driving this ego maniac to make a mistake.
Yeah.
Because we do know that at the highest levels that they do feed. It's not illegal for a cop or the police force to give misleading information.
Oh yeah,
We see it all the time.
all the time.
Right.
Absolutely.
And so my challenge to you guys, I believe that Evansdale and Delphi are connected. I believe this is one person. I believe this is a serial killer. I believe that they are very calculated, that they probably have something to do with truck driving and the Packers. Okay. Am I saying that right? We're talking about, like, how do you spell that? Packers?
Yeah, Indiana Packers.
It's not Packards, it's Packers.
Packers.
Okay. And
you're packaging meat.
Right. And that's the same as Evansdale, right? There was a Packers plant
There
nearby.
I think there was a. Oh man, I cannot think of it. But yeah, there was another, and it's a famous meat. I mean, everybody knows it. I just can't think of it right now.
Right.
But yeah, there is one close to that town or in that town.
Well, and one thing we spoke about too is that, and I hope Randy's on here because he's
a truck driver.
Yeah, and so did he ever answer that question to you?
Yeah, he said that it's Randy. If you're out there, that's something you can put in the chat. Randy said, yeah, sometimes it happens where he said, especially at meat packing places where it might take you pull up there and it may take 2 days before they get to your truck.
And there's accounts of that out there.
And
in
so
Evansdale.
you go stay in a hotel or get you a rent a car and just kind of hang out in the town. and then once they unload your truck, you get dropped off and you head on out.
Well, and what we said
But
is
he says that's usually just only at the meat packer places that you have that problem.
which is interesting.
Is that right, Randy? I know you're out there. You were.
Well, which is interesting. Okay.
Okay.
And so, and we even said in that episode, like, Keith, what would you do if you're a truck driver and you're stuck in Evansdale or near that area for 2 days? Would you go hiking on a trail?
Probably not.
I definitely
I
wouldn't.
probably
dude.
would just stay in my hotel room and watch TV.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Now, unless there was,
Unless you're a psychopathic serial killer.
Wait a minute. Our producer Pam.
Doug says maybe someone who grew up in the area but moved away. Not local,
That is.
but knows the area.
Yeah, that's something I'm going to get to in my findings.
Right.
Yeah, that's absolutely right, Doug.
And so, per my theory is that if you are driving these roads and you're going to packers plants where it's commonplace where you have to wait 18 hours sometimes.
Yeah, and he says it's usually just meat packing places that you have that problem.
Is that this person probably is out there scoping these areas out. I mean, we do have Google Map now.
Yeah, and Pam, I'm sorry.
Randy says yes, right?
Yeah, Randy said that's right. So
Yeah.
and you usually meet, he drives for a big company that's dairy, and so he doesn't run into that problem. But yes, he does. He said that is common
Right.
with meat packing. A couple of days. Can you imagine?
No, it sucks.
I mean, what if you're stuck in the most boring town in the world?
You would find something to do.
But what if you were stuck at San Antonio? You could go to do all sorts of things, right?
Right.
And go, yeah. So,
But it's to my point is
I know.
that like,
I don't know why I even said that. I hadn't.
no, I know, but it's to my point that you and I would like go to the Alamo, but
Absolutely.
but a psychopathic serial killer would go to a remote area where they know that they can, through some sort of catfishing or geocaching or chat room. That's another thing I asked the agent.
Now, is this your findings?
These are my findings. Is that they would be, because I believe that these girls, I believe that it's absolutely insane to think that these two girls in these two circumstances came across a psychopath and it's just coincidence.
Right.
So I believe that they're drawn out there to these locations and trapped. I do.
Yeah. Hang on just a second. I'm writing this note
We got
here
notes.
to give to our producer. Here, take that.
So yeah, I believe that I believe that it that's the case. I believe that they're tied in, that they were catfished there for a reason, that this killer is very strategic and tactical, that they get in, they get out, they minimize risk. I believe that in Delphi, he came across that bridge knowing that they're not going to turn around and run back across the bridge, and that he knew that he had a kill spot. I believe that in Evansdale that he had a kill spot. And in Evansdale, he did a little bit better of concealing because it took longer to find the bodies, right?
Yeah.
And hopefully that there is DNA underneath some handprints. And a lot of people say, well, how do you control two girls? Well, I work a lot with that age group, and I told you, like, for me, I know even from my experience, if somebody pulls a gun on you, it's pretty damn easy to control somebody, especially if you've never had a gun pulled on you before.
Right, I get that.
And I believe that he was never intending to fire the gun. I don't believe.
Well, I don't either.
I don't believe that the gunshots were fired. And we even had some people in our last chat saying, that they believe that there was a gun involved. I believe it was involved in that way, that it was a control mechanism that was never intended to be fired.
Yeah,
It could have even been a fake gun. I mean, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it could have been an air pistol.
Right.
I mean, if you,
worst case scenario, you bail. Because a lady after the Evansdale episode actually reached out to you and said that somebody had tried to
chase down
their daughter, like before that even happened. The murders happened there.
Right.
So I believe that these kill areas were scoped out. I believe that the person had been there multiple times, had walked through there. And I mean, how many times, and Randy, you might be able to answer this. Like, if I'm a truck driver, how often would I go to that meatpacking plant? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You could be because imagine if you go, Keith, imagine if you're a truck driver and you go there 2 times a year. That's 40 hours you have. And God, dude, I almost said 40 hours you have to kill, right? But it is. I mean, it's 40 hours you have
I would imagine you go a lot more than that.
And so that's even compounding, right?
Yeah.
So, and that's just what that's my finding. And I pray to God that my finding's right and that yours is wrong and that Matt Sullivan's is wrong. And I said that last time because in my theory,
You want checks and balances.
well, and I also want it to be one person. I don't want it to be two people, and I don't want it to be a group of people. I want to believe that in this society, is a group of people couldn't do something like this, or that even two people could do something like this and keep a secret from somebody.
Yeah, well, like I said, even with Matt's his theory, I just think that it is possible.
It is.
I mean, like I said, these people got into this what they would call innocently, taking a little money off the top here and there,
Right.
and that's kind of how
Yeah.
it's
compelling.
And just like you said, hey, I didn't ask for this, man. There's two girls dead now, and it
Right.
might have been one of these guys we were taking money from,
Right.
that killed these girls.
Well, they had a
So,
connection. Yeah, exactly.
Had a connection.
I mean, and it's not implausible. That's the thing that keeps that theory alive is we don't know, first off.
yeah.
And it is important that
And that's what's great about all the Delphi guys. We all have different
And
beliefs.
girls.
And girls, yes, absolutely. I apologize. Thank you, Garret.
yeah.
But no, but that's the great thing about it is it would be somewhat boring and probably
Monotonous.
not very constructive if we all believe the same thing.
Well, it wouldn't go anywhere, yeah.
Right. We throw different theories out there. It makes people think.
But in this case, I described it, and this is a Dr. Phil quote. It's like throwing jelly at the wall and seeing what sticks.
It's like throwing jelly out the wall.
It's like throwing jelly out the wall and seeing what sticks. No,
Yeah.
but it is. It's kind of like that's what people are doing, and they're seeing what sticks. But as they throw more at the wall, more is starting to stick, and so we're able to over 8 hours of talking, and by the end of the night, it'll be 10 hours. We've been able to kind of see this broad picture where we're like, oh, that kind of makes sense, and that makes sense, and this makes sense, and so that's how I've gone about my findings, and I've tried to do it in a way that only makes sense in my head, and the person could only come up, with so.
Yeah. My findings are this. I have no idea. No.
Thank you.
No, but I mean, well,
That is
you
our
know what?
findings.
To be-
We have no freaking clue.
To be honest with you, that is kind of my theory. I don't think it's any of the suspects that we think. I don't think it's Charles Eldridge now. I used to kind of think that because if they do indeed have DNA, and that kind of slipped out from one of the law enforcement agents, and then also
Multiple times, though,
and
right?
it kind of and Michael Catt verified that because he was asked about that. But I would think any of those suspects would have been, they would have got a judgment for DNA from them, right?
Right.
We would have heard something by now.
Right.
So I think it's going to be one of those things.
You're saying that DNA would have matched one of those suspects,
absolutely.
Because, dude, to everybody out there, can you imagine being on the police force or the people that are investigating this, the amount of pressure? Because if you watch the First 48 or any of these crime shows, dude, these investigators take on so much inner pressure.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's the sad thing that they say, and that's absolutely true because I've heard this from other investigators. That first 48 hours, when you get past that case starts going downhill real fast.
For sure.
And I'm not saying this case is cold. I mean, perhaps law enforcement knows who did this, and they're just waiting to build their case because they when they take this person to court, they want a solid case against them.
And that's what the lawyer I talked to said.
Yeah.
Was that the only way that they would withhold, or if they knew who it was, and he brought up the Golden State Killer case.
Yeah.
Okay, and you talked about that, you and I, before the show, is that they pretty much had it narrowed down to 4 people. Then they had it narrowed down to 1 person.
Right.
But they couldn't come out and say it. They had to wait. They had to be patient. They had to follow him. Because whenever you take this to court, you want it to be a home run. You see it all the time.
Solid.
Right.
So my findings are this. I don't think it's anybody we think it is.
Okay.
I think that they do have DNA. I think they've checked DNA with every one of those suspects. It did not come back as a match.
They were extremely disappointed.
They're probably, yeah. Now, I've also heard that there's been a few people that were under suspect that lawyered up and would not give their DNA. I don't know why in the world you would do that. I mean, I do understand people don't want their DNA out there. I get that. But when you've got murders of 2 innocent little girls, my God, give up your DNA.
Hey, and you're not a police officer, so tell them what you said you would do if you were an investigator.
What?
Because I thought it was a great idea. Like you said, well, if I was an investigator and I had it narrowed down and they lawyered up, I'd be sitting outside their house. I would get a little piece of DNA. I would try to,
Yeah.
I mean,
well, here's the deal, and that's a good point you brought up because right now, whoever this guy is, he is being extremely careful about throwing. If he's a smoker, he's not throwing his cigarettes out the window.
He's had to change the way he's
had to change the way he's lived.
Yeah.
He's not throwing cigarettes out the window. He's probably dumping all his butts into the toilet.
Right.
He doesn't want anything out in the garbage.
Right.
And this is a crazy theory, and and I don't know if this would even work.
I love crazy.
This is crazy. So guys, please forgive me. I thought about this last night
At 3 a.m.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know how many waste management. I don't know how many cities are in a county, right?
Right. Well,
But-
it varies.
Okay. But what if? I know this is crazy. I'm probably going to get slammed for saying this.
I hope you do. That's my favorite part of the show.
Yeah, it does make it fun, right?
Yep.
Let me take a drink of alcohol here.
This is getting crazy.
Okay. Let's just say there's, and I don't know how many, let's say there's 10 cities in a county, okay?
Yep.
Or maybe even less. And they send someone out to the waste management and they talk to their foreman and said, hey, do you ever have an employee meeting? Yeah, we have a safety meeting once a month. Could you ask any of those guys if they remember anybody on a route all of a sudden meeting them out there with a trash can where they didn't before?
Ooh, okay.
Right? And because whoever this was, I guarantee you, for the first 3 or 4 months, he probably didn't want anybody going through his trash, right? He was probably waking up, running the trash can out to the people so that no one had a chance to go through it, getting it dumped.
I do that every Thursday.
But that's because you forget to do
I
it the
know,
night.
I know.
Most people do it the night before.
No, that's a good point.
And see if any drivers go, well, this one guy on this route, is weird. All of a sudden, he starts bringing the trash out to the truck, and he never did that before.
Well, and you've seen that in cases before too, where like family members will see like, man, why are they like looking up this crime so much?
Yeah.
Or why are they like so invested in this? Or why are they acting weird about their trash? You know what I'm saying? This happens.
Yeah, I mean, but it's it's crazy. It's little things like that sometimes that solve
They
cases.
crack the case. Yep.
So I mean, it's.
I believe. I know, and we both know. Everybody knows somebody in their life that like it's kind of like Larry, who's like I told you earlier before the show. He's kind of like if you tell him something, he's like megabytes. I am processing this information.
Yeah.
Right. And so like I remember the day he got out of the yard. This is the funniest say real quick. Funniest story in the world. He's moving out of Fort Sill, like where he lived, Elgin. And I go there, and it's the day he gets out of the army. He receives all this mail, and it's everything on the day he got out of the army, all debt paid off, everything. And so there are people out there though that like live that kind of. You and I, Keith, we're the exact opposite. We're like totally, type B personalities.
Yeah.
There's also a lot of type A personalities out there. I believe that the killer is a type A personality that is monotonous in their trade.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and
they're planning, like you know what I mean. So that they wouldn't be afraid to put their trash out.
Right. So that's my findings. Basically, I don't think any of the.
Don't you believe it's 2 people though?
Oh yes, I'm sorry. I do believe there's 2 people involved. It's possible there's 1, but I think it'd be much easier of 2. But then again, 2 people keeping a secret, that's tough.
Right.
But I still think 2 people involved. I think they haven't. Like I said, there's a chance law enforcement maybe knows who it is, and they're trying to build that case. But then after 4 years, I'm thinking, okay, you would probably have more than enough.
I know.
Unless they found a suspect in the 3rd year, and right now they're building the case,
Right.
something like that. But man, that's basically all I have. I do think, and to give shout outs to Matt,
For sure.
that's possible too. I mean, there's corruption everywhere, and I could see possibly.
You brought up a good point. You said since this. Tell them what you told me last time about the 70s and the 60s when the mafiosos had judges in their freaking pockets.
Yeah, believe me, and especially like in smaller cities. Yeah. Like I said, I know, 60s and 70s, probably
80s,
way
yeah,
back. But there was organized crime that had judges in their back pocket, mayors, lawyers. They had law enforcement. They're giving them a little off the top. Hey, we're going to run this drug operation. I'm going to give you $10,000 a month just to keep your mouth shut. Mm-hmm. Leave us alone.
Well, and there's even legal ways of doing it. Like I was saying,
right?
Like there's legal corruption, right? Like
I mean,
corruption is illegal, but like there's legal ways of like money laundering and stuff. Through how you write it out and lawyers.
That's the funniest thing I ever seen. my wife just walked through with a piece of catfish hanging out of her mouth.
That's my girl.
That's Oklahoma, ain't it?
Hey, did you get that noodling? Did you noodle? Reach in
Yeah,
and
we
grab it?
noodled and got that catfish.
So
But so you know, and again,
let's not take it off the table.
no, I'm not taking it off the table
Yeah.
at all because it is.
But Matt did
man,
take-
anything's possible.
Can we say that Matt did take his videos off the table for a second? And I don't want to speak for him, but
He's revamping them.
he's revamping them. So credit to him for that. And
Yep.
also, if you guys were asking questions about that, because somebody wasn't, I'm such an idiot with social media and like this technology. I didn't know how to tag the person into his response. So if you're out there, the person that was like, "Hey, why did he take his videos out?" You can go on to our last video and actually look. He put a really nice, detailed response
Yeah,
to
he
that
did.
question on there, and it makes complete sense. But there's no way we can take what he's doing off the table because has this crime been solved?
right, and
Absolutely not.
And to some of the Matt slammers out there, Matt's bringing something to the table, and
he's a nice guy.
he's a super nice
Like
guy.
if you talk to him, dude, like
and all he wants to is like what the rest of the Delphi groups want. They wants to see someone pay for what they did.
and we had a nice little connection with Truth and Justice.
we did. We had a we
I
did.
did, and because I watched her video and that was nice. We're reaching across the table here and we're trying to figure it
Yeah,
out.
and she she had like a 2021 video where she said, let's stop bashing each other. Let's make 2021 where we do come together, work together for that one common goal, getting some justice, and let's quit slamming each. I mean, it's just so petty and it's stupid. It's not a competition, guys.
Hey, my philosophy at the gym when I very first started, because I really did start with one person. I think they're actually in the chat room tonight. I hopefully.
There's no on team.
Nope. Together we can build an army.
We can.
And what we did was we just kept working together and we kept collaborating. And now
Right,
we've grown into this
and
family it's amazing. And so
Yes.
it can be done, dude. It's not freaking impossible. It's what you're supposed to do.
I know, and it's funny to me when people are criticizing someone over what they think speculation. Well, I'm sorry, but you're speculating as well.
Right,
You're
right.
you're guessing. You the only people who know.
Hell, we're speculating.
Well, yeah, I'm the first one to say that.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying this is all speculation.
Right.
And that's what solves cases. So,
Yeah.
I mean, we all have these different ideas, and I think that's awesome, man. I think Matt's, he's doing great things. He's coming up with maybe there's some type of case with Gabe Ellis and corruption. And who's to say? I can't say that's not possible.
We're saying that it's unlikely.
Yeah. Sorry, Matt.
Yeah, love you. No, I'm just
Love you,
kidding.
Matt, but
no, but
no.
we're also pointing out that there's no definitive answer.
There isn't.
But the key for us and our platform, because we are moving on, and I want to make sure I get this out, is that life after life, man. Like this case is going to stay alive. There's a reason why you only heard about it a year ago. And there's a reason why we're doing this right now.
Yeah.
And it's because of the people that are being proactive and trying to do something about it. I mean, we
Right.
can sit here and we can bash law enforcement and we can sit here, but even on the law enforcement side, Matt was the first one to say, dude, there are people in law enforcement that are in Delphi that are really troubled by this and that are trying to make this right. And so it's huge. But yeah, my finding, one person, and that's it. And I do think it's a serial case. And if you out there, you online sleuths, if you find some other cases that are tied into it, if you haven't seen the Evansdale episode, watch it. If you come across some more information, man, because in that case, the saddening thing to me was they got like 1,400 leads.
Yeah, and so let me say something real quick to all the Delphi groups. I know I've already said that, but look, Garret believes one way. I don't believe Garrett's thing, but
Right.
But me and Garret love each other.
Right.
We get along, and we both have different views of this, but we're not fighting amongst each other.
We actually have different views on a lot of
Yeah,
things.
and it's not like, well, Garret, you don't believe what I believe, so I don't even want you on the show.
No, it actually makes me like love you more. And I'm like that though. Like if somebody has a different opinion than me, I want to know why. Like I'm curious. I want to know why. I want to get, because I really do like facts. And that's one thing you and I, guys, me and Keith and Pamela and even Cass, like we talk about, and Larry, okay, we talk about this stuff a lot off air. And we're
Yeah.
trying to we're getting information. And so I just think, I said to you the other night was I wanted to stick to what I knew. And what I know is that we don't know anything. And no, it's that
the biggest rabbit hole case, man.
what we do know is that both of these cases are very similar in MOs And the fact that both crime scenes, I mean, in Evans, Del, they don't even the bodies were skeletonized.
Right.
I
Yeah.
mean,
they
have
don't.
very little to go
Yeah.
on.
I think they don't even know how they died.
But they do think that there was a white car involved,
Well, a white SUV.
a white SUV.
Yeah.
Hey, and really quick, can you tell me, because I always thought this was interesting, you mentioned some guy that was taking like a Google Earth of the Packers of the parking lot, and he saw a white car. Can you recap that? Just for me, not them.
Yeah, it was one of the other YouTubers. He went to, I guess whatever project they work on, for some reason they do like a camera view of it, and it might be just to show how they're making progress.
Yeah, no, I think it was something that they're building something.
Yeah, and it was something like a white car on that Monday wasn't there, and then it showed up, or it didn't show up on the Tuesday, I believe, and then showed up again, and then the first press conference that was had, it was missing, and then after that, I think it never came back.
Right.
So I mean, that's a lot of speculation.
I know, but isn't it?
But
funny?
it's weird. It was a white. I can't remember if it was a van.
Isn't
or
it
what
crazy though? Like since we started the case, how much we've heard about white cars and vehicles.
Well, white car is the most common color of cars.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. Yep. I found that out when I was from somebody.
Well, still interesting. I mean,
It is.
because even in the Evansdale thing.
So, yeah, that's my findings. I think it's 2 people. I don't think it's anybody that we think it is. I think with Tobe saying that it's not anybody who committed a crime, that means they got a fingerprint. And I would say that everybody from Charles Eldridge, even Gabe, Ellis, all these people had previous crimes. Their fingerprints were in the system. If it didn't match, it didn't match. Now, I also, with that saying, I know Matt's theory would be, well, they're not, even if they know it's Gabe, they're not going to prosecute because he could bring the whole house of cards down. Possible, I don't know. But that's basically, it's like I said, it's the weirdest case I've ever read about.
It is.
And if anybody wants to call, we got about, if anybody calls, we'll stay on a little bit longer. But 205-730-6441.
Well, I still got some more.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, because I was going to mention just one thing. Like,
Go ahead.
I really do believe that it is bizarre if there wasn't much blood left at the scene. I do think it would be very difficult to take them somewhere else, to murder them and bring them back, or to take them somewhere. And how risky is that as searchers are walking through? You never know if the family or if some police officers are lingering around, right? Just the strength it would take to do that, the endurance, I think it would be, well, and let's just talk about risk. I just think that the risk,
risk is way high, high.
If we throw down a tarp to commit these crimes on, I still think that there would be massive amounts of blood splatter around, because if you've ever painted like on a tarp type canvas, I mean, it's terrible. Like that's why you paint on like a canvas.
Yeah.
So soak it up, right? And so, it would almost have to be a canvas or some sort, or the murders would have had to happen in the water.
Yeah. And that's, you'd have to kill both girls and that's one thing I kind of thought of. Maybe he killed them in the creek,
right?
And washed everything, and then dragged the bodies up 50 feet, and posed them.
But that also would go back to your theory, though, honestly, because for one person to kill 2 people in the water, I think would be different.
Yeah,
because you'd have to get them into the water,
right?
You know what I'm saying? It's much more plausible to just kind of hit somebody over the head as they're walking, which could have been the case, and then drag them in the water, right?
Yeah.
But I think the crime actually happened there. I think it's a specific spot, and I do think that they were catfished. I did ask. This is the other thing I was say. Okay, about the agent. Okay, so I said, would you be able to track somebody down if they were catfished, right? Like, because I said, dude, I just don't think, dude or dudette, I do not think that this was a coincidence. I think that these girls were brought to this location for a purpose. Too. And he said that United States-based social media and United States-based, because again, this is FBI, right? So it's federal.
Right.
It's not the CIA.
Yep.
Okay. Is that like with your Facebooks, with your YouTubes, with Sprint and Verizon, so your cell phone carriers, they all have staff. They all have a segment of their business that is literally working on this stuff on a daily basis.
Yeah.
That's allotted. Okay. He said, but there are like the chats and the stuff like that. That's where it starts to get really murky.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's where it starts to begin. Because
Yeah.
he even said, he was like, because I was like, talked about Pokemon Go. I was like, dude, because people were coming into my place of business, like looking for Pokemon. I didn't even know what the heck it was. And so he's like, and I was like, dude, because he's kind of nerdy. I was like, I know you were playing Pokemon Go because Larry loved Pokemon Go.
Oh, my God.
And he was like, yeah, under a pseudonym. And he said that, though, not realizing that that's the point I was trying to make. Like, could you do like the geocaching or like these kind of chats, or is there like a dark web? I want these people who they know that I'm like a caveman. I'm like, how turn on computer, please. You know?
Yeah.
And so I want to know, like, because they know a lot more than I do about this stuff, but there has to be a way that this happened, that these two girls, and
Yeah,
maybe it was
and-
only supposed to be one girl. We don't know.
And let me say, I left out a big part of my findings. I do agree. I think this was not a chance meeting. I think these girls were catfished out there, absolutely.
Right.
And that's very interesting what you just said.
Right.
Because I always thought forensic science or electronics or whatever, that they could pull up anything.
Right.
Any chats, but now you're saying that.
Yeah, 'cause, I mean, even
when it gets to a chat room, you said it gets murky.
Right. Even with some of these apps, right, that are
Yeah.
like coming over from over other countries and stuff, right?
Wow.
And so, well,
Okay.
even think about this though, like, because do you watch the first 48?
I used to watch it all the time.
I've
haven't-
seen every single episode. No, really,
I
I'm
haven't
like,
in a long time.
well, I'm a little upset because they haven't had a new episode in forever. I check every Thursday. But if you go, like, Tulsa's on there a lot, right?
Yeah.
Like Tulsa, because man, Tulsa's kind of rough a little bit.
Tulsa's very rough.
A lot of times, what they do though is they'll check like the cell tower pings. Okay, so they'll try to find location. Right.
But I think that guy was smart enough that if he had a cell phone, he had it off.
right.
You
Well,
know,
the other thing they do though is
For all the planning he did,
Yeah.
that would have been a stupid thing is to walk in there with a cell phone that was turned on.
Right.
So, because they checked all the cell phones surrounding that area. They did
Right.
check. Oh boy,
who we got.
we've got Life After Life. You're on the air.
Turn that up.
It's not on.
Hey, you want to tell him?
Hey, just hang on just a second, buddy, okay? I'm going to try. For some reason, you're not coming through on my phone, but I will fix that, I hope.
because we're so happy you called.
Yeah, we never have callers. Okay. Yeah, hang on just a minute, okay? Hey, turn that off. Pull off that and push the button off. No.
Oh, this button
No,
up
no,
here.
no, on the flying saucer.
Oh, here. On the flying saucer.
We want to shut this off because it's trying to connect. Okay, so now we want to connect. Make sure it's connected here. And it shows Galaxy. Okay, go ahead and say something. Let's see if you're on now. No. Hang on just a second. I apologize. Basically, I had two Bluetooth things running. Let me unpair, and then I'm going to pair you back. Hang on just a second. Again, I apologize. Just stand by with me here for just a minute. You know, Garrett, something always happens when we do this.
It's our style, man.
That's what we do, right? Okay.
Well, we're not on air.
Hey.
Remember how the wall?
Now we're on the air. Okay,
What's
I'm so
up,
sorry.
man?
What's up, buddy? Thanks for calling. What's your name and where are you from?
Okay, I'm
Well, you don't have to tell
Michael
us.
Phillips, originally from Kokomo,
Okay.
and I want you guys to back up. This has been said, and you remember when the law said, based on the brutality that's shown in Delphi, it is likely that the ones have acted before, correct?
Mm-hmm.
126 days before Delphi, Karina McClurkin went missing and killed out of Kokomo, Indiana.
Right.
I was actually her witness, stopped to help her on my way home.
Whoa.
Oh.
And Gabe Ellis, to Karina's grandmother, there's a video call. If you guys know how to get a hold of the video calls, Jerry McClurkin had a video call with Gabe where he admits that, yes, I was the one that helped her, and that, yes, the driver, Paige Shirley, brought her out to his house.
Oh, wow.
She was, come to find out, disposed of after being dismembered
Wow.
into Carroll County, Cutler. That's within minutes from the bridge.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And
So
what,
everybody that's saying Gabe's been ruled out and not a person of interest,
Think again.
Steve Mullins.
We should think again on that.
No, what'd you say?
I said you're saying that we should halt the brakes on that.
Oh yeah, there's more than one victim. Let's just put it that way.
True. Yeah, and that's what we were saying. That's why it was so awesome having Matt on last week too, was because and again, like our findings obviously we're like a bunch of apes over here. So that's what we were trying
And
to
like I tried saying on the chat,
yeah.
was one thing I was trying to say
Say it.
was the 15th. I've got a screenshot of a text message. I was an FBI informant with the Joint Terrorism Task Force, FBI, Indianapolis.
Okay.
The agent that was over me, I got paid the 15th. It's usually two agents supposed to come to pay an informant, and they're in such a hurry. One was already up north, and he was in such a hurry to get up north that he swung by, broke protocols, paid me, and hurried up, dropped me off, and he's like, I got to get up north.
Wow.
And one issue I have is Abby's boyfriend's dad. He belongs to a group called Sons of Odin. If you look at Brad Holder's page, you're going to see it all over the place. You go to Gabriel Ellis's page. One person that was involved with Karina's was Kyle Stacy. He's considering him and Gabe to be blood brothers. Well, how Kyle Stacy comes involved with Karina's case, he was the one that brought the hot shot and just to make sure Karina was dead before they dismembered her.
Wow.
He actually called, like I said, Gabe blood brothers.
Okay.
But one thing I'm going to get at is the FBI informant agent, not informant, but the FBI agent over me as an informant in my files has Logansport, Delphi, Peru, Kokomo, and that Sons of Odin group that Brad Holder belongs to.
Interesting.
They're under watch by the Joint Terrorism Task Force for domestic terrorism.
That's actually
And that is 100% fact.
I was going to say that's actually not surprising.
No.
From what I know from the agent I talked to, that's not what you just said is completely not surprising to me.
Wow.
Sitting like 1,000 miles away from you.
I'm not trying to throw theories out here,
No, that's
but I'm
fine.
going to be 100% honest with you.
Please.
The lies, disregard, and negligence I was shown by, he's now retired, but Michael Curtis, the agent over me,
Uh-huh.
I got a 100% feeling that there was more than one case, including Delphi, that the deaths were preventable if they would have acted on Karina's case.
Mm.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Okay.
Jeremy Patterson. If you look up Alan Tinker, he ended up killing an informant that was coming forward behind me on Karina's case. Jeremy, I want to say Patterson.
Okay.
And Jeremy's, I'm going to be careful not to say names,
Yeah,
Sure.
but Jeremy's roommate was actually one of the not informants, but people I was in charge of, like, keep an eye on, kind of keep them, like, okay, what's going on? And that was actually called off. I was supposed to get a illegal tattoo done by this roommate of his. The long story short, I'm actually working with the prosecutor's office now, and that is to force them to look into getting Karina's remains found. They
Good.
got one person that's close to Gabe that's coming forward. I know where Karina is. He so far is named Cutler.
Wow.
And if you look up, like, Google Cutler, how close it is to Delphi Bridge, it's within minutes. It's the same county.
So when you say bridge, are you talking about the
And-
Monon High Bridge or Freedom?
Yes.
Okay. Gotcha.
And one thing I'm actually getting at is we're, like Matt's saying, like the hush-hush factor, the corruption. I'm working with the prosecutor right now with Carroll County, and they've been doing nothing but hush-hush. I've been speaking out, like, on Facebook,
Uh-huh.
social media, and like I told them, I was like, it's nothing that you guys can shut me up on, because everything I've been saying is public information.
Right.
Anything that's directly involved in the case, harder evidence, harder names, things being said, I'm not saying it publicly. I'm only speaking to all prosecutor's office when it comes to that. I know what I'm doing, and I know what I cannot say.
Right.
And it goes back to even me being an informant. There's things you can say, and there's things you can't that will ruin a case.
Right.
So when I was asked by him, am I talking like on social media, I kind of shut him down real quick because I'm like, only public information. Anybody can look and find it themselves.
Right.
Have you faced backlash?
Let's just put it this way. Just last week, I had one guy. I'm the next to go vanished. I don't need to pack my bags where I'm going.
Wait, excuse me. Can you say that again?
I had one guy I got a message from, and, well, not a message, it was a comment. He's like, you're the next to go vanished, and you don't need to pack your bags where you're going.
Oh, wow. God,
Then I got a video call.
Sounds kind of familiar to Matt's comment.
Yeah.
Then I got a video call from a close friend of Gabe. And he is a devout Muslim. I'm not trying to be going off on a limb there. But his exact words on a video call with me was everything I've been saying that Gabe's done to these other people, he's about to do to me.
Oh, my God.
So these two I brought up and I gave to the Carroll County prosecutor. And the Attorney General's office down in Indy has actually reached out to the Carroll County prosecutors, and they've been sitting on it. It's called the ACP program, the Address Confidentiality Program. They've actually reached out for them to actually get that program started. Silence. Nothing's happened. So some of the things like Matt's saying, like corruption, kind of things not being done the way they're supposed to, it's starting to really show a repetitive factor, if that makes sense.
Right.
Yeah. Well,
Then I've got a video on my page where it has Kokomo PD and Indiana State Police. They named both their names, but ISP, Peru Post, they have a lot of their officers, true, involved when it comes to Delphi.
Okay.
Yeah. And the video, I've actually got Kokomo PD and ISP admitting to over 40.
Okay.
There's not 1, 2, or 3, but 40 child exploitation cases sitting cold on their desk. And they're actually laughing, making jokes about it, and they can't out suspects like I edited myself. They can't blank out suspects.
Wow.
That's really
And I'm like,
surprising. That's horrible.
That is horrible.
and you think ISP is being 100% legit, honest, and upward and being honest with you guys. There's 20 cases on their desk alone, child exploitation, sitting cold, right there in that area. I'm not saying anything sexual happened, but
Right.
when it comes to children's cases going cold on their desk and they're making jokes about it, it's kind of sickening.
Yeah, for sure.
Wow. And you have a recording of that, you said. Is that what you said? No?
Oh, it's on my page. Matt, he's heard it. Like, I don't know if you can see him in the comments there, but Matt heard it, and I've actually got a SoundCloud. If you look me up, like Michael Phillips, Kokomo, Indiana,
Can you put that in the chat?
send me a message on there. I can actually send you some of these things. But
Okay,
yeah,
perfect.
Wow.
Can you hook up, Keith? Can you
but
hook
I
up with
need
him?
you guys, if you guys really want justice, get on Carroll County. And for the fact there's somebody that's real close to Gabe, that gave up not only Cutler, but he's willing to tell them exactly the location where Karina is. There's a body sitting in their county 126 days before Delphi, and they've not lifted a finger to find Karina.
Wow. That's sad.
God.
That's sick.
Yep.
That's very sick. So,
And when it comes to Gabe and the ones that are involved with Karina's, I do want to bring up, if they did what they did to Karina, down to dismembering, disposing of her, killing her, there was a firefighter involved. But this happened at Gabe Ellis' daughter's apartment. Nobody's asking if they took the Delphi girls somewhere that's not there.
Mm-hmm.
This is where Matt can back me up. There's a Tina Riddell. Remember her daughter Megan?
Yep.
Yeah, she's the one that took the picture of the car, right?
She's actually, when it comes to Tina, it's hard to get things out of her. You've got and actually be some things, so that I know what you're talking about, then she'll come out and tell you some more things. So if you're onto something and you're like real right on it, you have to call her out on the exact subject, the subject matter, and what proof you have, and then she'll be like, oh yeah, I remember, and then she'll tell you more.
Right.
Mm.
But she's actually said she actually remember the peroxide, and she put it on blood, and I asked her, and I've got this text with her, whose blood? The Delphi girls. At first, she gave me an apartment that was over towards like Speedway, close to where Karina was picked up from.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't validate that whatsoever. But then the same apartment that Gabe was seen by the detectives in Kokomo, the same apartment he was seen not even 24 hours after the Delphi girls were found, he was again at his daughter's apartment. The same apartment they did Karina's at. Kind of see where a repetitive factor, if they were taken, Delphi girls, to somewhere. I got a feeling it was to Kokomo if it was Gabe and the same ones involved. Back to the same apartment where they've already did one murder at, and not a clue. Nobody looked, and got away with it so far. Down to, you can't tell me a neighbor can't see somebody loading up trash bags into like the back of a truck and not think something's up.
Yeah.
Man.
Because what I'm hearing is, and then what I was getting at is a light-colored Mustang. There was a Paige Shirley. When she picked Karina up with the, it was a dark blue Trailblazer, like a big old SUV. Shortly after Karina's case, she got rid of that SUV. And it's the same one I'm hearing, that the dismembered body parts. And she drove the ones that were disposing of Karina up to Cutler. She was bragging about this and some of the things like in like jail. But the thing is, when it comes to her truck, shortly after Karina's case got rid of the truck, she started driving her grandmother's Blazer. And it took me hell and high water to start getting out of some people close to her. But when it comes to Delphi, the white vehicle paper plates, she had a Mustang she bought shortly after Karina's case, mind you, 126 days. She still had a paper plate on that Mustang.
Interesting.
Time of Delphi.
Yeah.
Then shortly after Delphi, not even 24 hours later, the Blazer that Gabe and Sierra were in the back seat, they said there was two female passengers, a driver and a passenger, in the front seats. It took me hell to find out the names, but it was Paige Shirley and her wife at the time driving, and it was her grandmother's Blazer that was stopped. And that kind of tells you just had a Mustang that you just got, just like Karina's. You stop driving it, you start driving your grandmother's Blazer again. The Mustang has nothing wrong with it. You just drove it, then yet you're going to be in your grandmother's Blazer 24 hours later? Why?
Wow.
Well, and that's the great point, though, that we're bringing up. That's it's so good that these guys are still like so actively involved in this.
Yeah.
Like that information you just gave to us is mind-boggling.
Yeah. See, then again, it takes you down that. Now it's like.
And then another thing is, you can look up the actual when Gabe was arrested. That whole ordeal. He was actually tracked from an apartment. They didn't say exactly where, but like 1100 block Harrison.
Mm-hmm.
And then they said the detectives followed them from Harrison Street over to the Mire where they were stopped. But when he was actually stopped, one thing the family has said was in the audio clip, there was a cocking of a gun, correct?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Gabe Ellis was picked up with an illegal possession of firearm by a felon.
Right.
And it's kind of sick where I'm telling you, if we all, like an army of one, demand they start looking in and actually finding Karina's remains, you guys want justice. It's not just one case. And I cannot stress that enough. Open your mindset, more than one case. Then listen to what the walls even hinted at and gave you a hint of, based on the brutality. In Delphi, it's like they've done what? Acted before.
Right.
And then they actually, the brutality-wise, the same thing, like when it comes to Jeremy, that was silence, and Karina's, knife.
Wow.
Karina, knife. Delphi girls, knife. Kind of see a repetitive issue here?
Compelling.
They love using knives during the murders.
Yep.
So what you're
Karina's brutality-wise is way more.
So you're trying to say like aim small, miss small. Like we're missing the small picture that if we are able to find Karina's body and tie that in, then the dominoes essentially start to fall.
Guaranteed.
Okay.
And when it comes to Kurtz, I've actually been working with Nicole Bowen's family. I'm not going to name a name, but her aunt, one of her aunts. And her aunt is even said, and it took me pressuring her aunt to get her mom to start pressuring Kurtz, was drugs involved. The reason being because the same drug ring is showing around, like names around Gabe. That drug ring was showing up around other cases.
So, do you know the location of Karina's body?
The most I got out of it was Cutler.
Wow.
And nobody's really even because they just said
Could a local actually go digging in that area? I mean,
is it on like private property?
I don't know.
Not sure. And the thing is, I've been trying to look up, and this would narrow it down a great deal. From 16 area, it'd be the air satellite footage. If they burned her body, like they said, that would narrow it down. If you find like bonfire, like burn pits,
Right.
that'd easily on aerial photography, like the satellite pictures, that would narrow down like the areas. If there's only like 2 or 3 big burn piles that would be a bonfire, you're going to see it from the image. Makes
Right.
sense?
Yeah.
Michael, your name's Michael, right?
Yes.
Hey, dude, keep doing the good work you're doing, and keep pushing. And that's what we were trying to say, even about Matt Sullivan. And hey, I think Keith is going to somehow you guys link up, and that way, if you have like new information or if you have information, you get it to Keith, man. So that we have a platform here, and we appreciate you calling.
Right. Absolutely.
Like when I talk to you guys, like otherwise, I can kind of show you a few things where I guarantee I can show you kind of what Matt's showing and trying to say. The prosecutor I'm working with, like the investigative prosecutor,
Mm-hmm.
they're being real shady. And when I say shady, they're trying to be all hush-hush, kind of not really get at anything. And like I've even called him out on text. You guys went haywire when it came to Daniel Nations.
Mm-hmm.
But you're admitting we have enough for charges and everything, but yet there's no press conference, not even a peep about Gabe Ellis and the ones he was around. Nothing.
Right.
And to tie back, and I'm going to show you guys a direct tie back to that drug ring Gabe was involved with. Look up Tyler Joe French. You're going to find more than one page. I think it's like the second or third one down. You're going to find where it has open friends list. Go on that friends list and look for Dustin Prater, the ammonia theft co-defendant with Derek.
Yeah.
And when you do that, you're going to find Dustin Prater. one of his best buddies he's still friends with.
Wow.
It's going to start showing you a direct line back to that drug ring.
Okay. Well, Michael.
And just like...
Yes. I was just going to say, we're going to have to go ahead and wrap it up because we got 2 other people wanting to call in. But that's
Hey, keep up the good work, though, man, and reach out to Keith so we can get that stuff from you.
Yeah, we'll definitely look into that.
If you don't mind.
Well, like I said, find me on Facebook, Michael Phillips out of Kokomo.
Got you,
all right,
dude.
Michael, thank you so much.
Hey, have a good night. Happy New Year, brother.
All right, thank you.
You too.
All right, bye-bye. Wow, that's interesting. So someone else was trying to call in. That's
Couple people.
Someone asked about what the beeping sound is. I've got one line that's call waiting, so you're hearing someone else call in. So whoever that was trying to call in, go ahead. Line is open. Line is free. 205-730-6441. We'll take a few more calls.
Man.
Now what are you going to do, Garrett?
I mean, it goes to
I know.
It goes to what we've been saying this entire time.
It is. It's a bizarre case.
Well, and it's like a bizarre case that happens in a bizarre place. Not to try to rhyme everything, but I mean, it sounds like from what we're hearing on one side. I mean, he's from Kokomo, right? Isn't that what?
Yeah,
he just
that's what he said.
And so
And that's where Gabe's from. So
right. So
absolutely.
It gets mad. It just gets wild.
It does. All right, that other caller, go ahead. Give us a call.
Hey, can you call him back?
No, it was listed as a private number.
Interesting.
So,
hey, while we're waiting, oh, there we go.
Life After Life, you're on the air.
Yeah, Bridge guy's name is Adam Bridge.
See that I did learn something from
Art Bell.
No. From other YouTubers. If it's a private number, I'm not answering it, and because it's usually that's what you get. So if you're gonna call and I see a private number, I'm not answering. So if there was that probably the same guy that was calling.
he wasn't on our suspect list.
He was not.
Adam Bridge. Hey, there's another caller that called too.
What if he was serious and I just hung up on him?
Yeah.
This guy's name's Adam Bridge.
No, literally it's Adam Bridge.
No, guys, don't hang up. It's really Adam Bridge. But we got a few more. We'll hang for about another 5 minutes. We went about 24 minutes over what we were going to do. But that's fine.
Hey, real quick, while we got a minute.
Yes, sir.
We are going to do the Missy Beavers.
Yes, you guys have got to tune in for that. That's a crazy case. Missy Beavers, that's going to be next week.
You don't have a picture of that, do you?
No, I don't.
Okay. Well, hey, what's crazy is for those of you who are not familiar with it, the video in that case is insane.
Yeah. It has a video of a guy dressed in.
Or a girl.
Or God, he says that to me all the time.
Well, no, it's true though.
No, you're right because
but
honestly, I kind of think it is a girl.
Yeah.
But they have a video of a girl or a guy dressed in like police
SWAT.
tactical gear and going around this church, busting windows and kind of making it look like it's a burglary, but not taking anything. Missy Beavers arrives. He ends up killing her and then leaving the church. So. In costume, I mean, you can't.
It's so bizarre.
Yeah, and there's a certain walk this person has, feet are out
Their
like
gait,
that.
Yeah.
But
and we're gonna go all into that case. I think it's gonna be very intriguing, and it ties in because we have video of this perpetrator. We actually have a white car involved too. It wasn't a white car.
Yeah.
Damn white cars.
Or maybe gray. I don't know.
Regardless,
I think it's white. But but like I said, that's the most common color of car on that in the world is white for some reason. Which to me they get dirty. I don't like white cars. All right, we got a couple more minutes. We'll wait here. Pam, did you say there's other people wanting to call? Okay. So anyway, if you want to call 205-730-6441, if you call with a private number, I will not answer.
Hey, and we really wanted to get to 600 subscribers. Can you guys just subscribe, please? For 2021's sake, just subscribe. Well, hey, and awesome show, dude.
Sounds like begging.
Yeah, I don't care.
I don't either.
I'll beg for subscribers.
It is a great show, and we'll revisit the Delphi cases. Like I said, as information comes available, I just, it's to do a show on Delphi every week. I mean, you just find yourself going in circles, talking about the same thing, and
let's let these guys run with it.
Yeah.
You guys run with it.
And you have us as a platform if you want to come on and you've got some new information that you want to share.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Bring it, and we'll give you a platform to talk.
Hey, and thank you for spending the night with us, everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I'm getting okay. Well, what do you think, Garrett? We're going to wrap
Let's
it up.
wrap it, man.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's going to call. So
We love you guys so much.
we do
Thank
love you
for
guys
everything.
very much. Thank you so much. And remember to hit that like button and subscribe. And also, for the paranormal folks out there, we will get back into I think what we're going to end up doing is we're trying to do 2 shows a week. I know we haven't done that in the last couple of weeks, but we're going to try to do a paranormal show and then a true crime show.
We just went down the rabbit hole. We didn't mean to, guys.
Yeah, we didn't. But like I said, man, I've always been interested in true crime, and it's fascinating to me. So anyway, next week, Missy Beavers, guys, right?
Are you looking for it?
It's going to be a good show, so you don't want to miss that one. And we will see you soon.
Bye.
Bye. Life After Life, you're on there.
I don't think we got to it in time. Call us back.
Call us back. Yeah, as I know,
have 1 minute.
We're still running. We're still running here. We just had a phone call, and I'll give them a chance to call back, and then we'll end the show.
Yeah, just give them a minute.
I'll give them a minute. But in the meantime, I can play.
I wish you had that song.
All right.
That's it.
Hang on a second. You know what we could do is we can call this person back.
Call them back.
Let's call watch it be a collection agency.
I hope it is.
Did you call us? We'll call you.
Please leave your message for
Let's leave a message.
3, 2,
Hang on.
1.
Okay.
Oh man, I want to leave a message.
So they turn their phone off or
All
whatever.
right.
All right. So, this is a private number.
Yeah,
Sorry.
answer. I just want it real quick.
Okay. We're gonna do it. Life After Life. You're on there.
Eat dick, bitch.
Hey, yeah. What a way to end the show. Hey, we love you guys, and I will do no such thing.
Yeah, absolutely not. So
Close it out.
all right.
Love you guys. Bye.